down. I did it because I liked it. Hell, I loved it. I'm saying, I'm just itching. I'm itching to do it again. And you think what? You think you're gonna send me to a nut house? Some doctor? They're gonna get me to stop from doing what I want to do?
Hello. Yes, the title did not deceive you. Now, I know I probably should have released this before the MC Jams video, but I already had that one done by the time I got done with the SFM one. And while I am recording them all at the same time to get them done as quick as possible, that way I can then edit for like a week straight. But don't rush me. I do this on my own time. Anyways, so this video exists because I low-key got really invested into Season 1 to such a point that I kind of decided to make it its own video. Now, there is another series we might cover, I'm not entirely sure, because it's in the same style, and I'm on the fence. I've been thinking about low-key watching a single season, see if I get invested, and then decide to make it or not, you know? No, and here's my arbitrary watch till the end. If you do, I'll do a tier list. Because that way, I know you people will watch the end now, you know? As long as there's a tier list, you people will stick around. Or so said the almighty algorithm. Anyways, I could do like a last time on Dragon Ball type, you know, recap. Or I could just do that part of the script again. Or I could just copy and paste it and then re-record it. I thought to myself which one would be more tedious for me, and honestly, deciding to re-edit that entire section is more tedious than a recap. So enjoy the small section from the last video. You know, I had to re-record it, you know, the whole section and re-edit it, man. Man, this is fun though. So we immediately get hit with like early 2000s Microsoft Movie Maker title. We get the story told through text chat and screenshots. So Freddy is looking for Chica, and Bonnie asks, Freddy asks Bonnie, and he's like, I don't know, but she might be on stage. So he walks to the stage, and Bonnie wonders what Freddy is up to. So he decides to enlist the help of Foxy. He yells for Foxy, and he got no response when Golden Freddy walks in, and he's like, why are you yelling? And Bonnie thought that the best way to get Foxy's attention would be to yell. So he tells Golden Freddy he has no idea what Freddy's up to and kind of wanted to know. A bit odd, but hey, whatever gets the plot rolling and all. Golden Freddy offers his help instead of Foxy, so Bonnie is happy to have at least someone to help him. So Bonnie and Golden follow Freddy, wondering what he is doing when they notice that pizza. Bonnie wonders why Freddy would make pizza since he's generally not a fan, which I mean, fair enough. I don't think I could eat pizza daily, I mean, and not get tired of it. I mean, maybe like a child, but like, yeah. Anyways, Golden Freddy deduces he is making it for someone. Bonnie wonders for whom he can be making pizza for, and Golden Freddy plainly says Chica, maybe. Bonnie says we will just have to wait and see. So they hide, and after the pizza is done, and Freddy does so hope that Chica likes it, Bonnie says, Goldie, I guess you're onto something. So Golden Freddy says, I know when my brother is up to something. So they are brothers, okay. That's a trope I don't see much anymore. It was a trope though, back in my day, sure. Bonnie catches on, gets to be confirmed, which, man, even though like this wasn't really a part of a fandom I really interacted, I actually avoided it. Saying about this is really gave me nostalgia. Anyways, part 2 of 10. Actually, I might have watched this years ago and might not remember. Because when I was like, because I had unrestricted internet access, I have seen awful, terrible things on the internet, like that old Freddy's animation where Chica has pizza tits. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But I watched that when I was young. I shouldn't have seen. I even watched the Mario Luigi's Day Out, I think it was called, from the same guy. Like, I watched that back in the day. So yeah, I had unrestricted internet access. There's a chance I legit watched that. Well, watched this. So anyways, a buddy of mine did something similar. Hold on, wait, I skipped a line, hold on. So Golden Freddy wants to know how he can tell Bonnie brings up a few things, which, I mean, valid, you know. Had a buddy of mine do something similar and he had a crush on her, so fair enough. Anyways, so this video has like early 2010s music, which is definitely very, very cringe. But anyways, back to focus on story. Golden immediately jumps to, they have to do, you know, they have to get together, you know, we have to make them get together. Bonnie, we need to do it. Bonnie, being the ultimate wingman, comes up with a plan, man. He tells Golden they have to, and he tells Golden to follow his lead, so we switch back to Freddy and Chica. She thanks him for the pizza, and he says no biggie, and she gives a small kiss. Signature CF kissing! Yes! That's the first of many, brother. And he freaks out, you know, she then leaves. Bonnie prepares to spring whatever their plan is, and it was just to fucking scare her. She screams and, like, dips. She yells for Freddy. He arrives and hugs and comforts her, you know, after being jump scared. She immediately complains about being scared by their friends. Which, I mean, if I knew it was my buddies, I probably wouldn't give, like, I wouldn't really care, you know. Probably give him a good right hook to the arm. But anyways, I digress. Freddy wonders why they would do that, and she says, I don't know. So he decides to go and see why. So Freddy asks them, and they lie, you know. He transforms into Nightmare Freddy and warns him. The transforming bit had me dying laughing, man. I get early internet, like, but still, it got me giggling anyways. Like, that funny as fuck. It's going in the clips folder. It's literally, like, just the clip of Freddy transforms into Nightmare Freddy. I'm keeping that because it might never be useful, but dear God, just having that on my fucking hard drive is funny enough. So Goldie and Bonnie warns him she may never like him in that form. Freddy's just getting straight up pissed at this point, and Bonnie tries to de-escalate by explaining it was just a joke. Bonnie explains they wanted to help you two hook up, and, you know, he feels a bit bad for being mean, and he goes. So Freddy then is a bit sad since he had to get mean and decides to go and clear stuff up. So part 3 of that has Ready to Die by Andrew WK. Like, I knew this song because it's on my fucking Spotify playlist. So, hearing that was definitely kind of funny. Like, I had to do full double take. But anyway, so Freddy is looking for Chica, and, you know, she is scared. So she mentioned that she thinks Freddy likes her, and Freddy says, what gave you that impression? So she kind of explains the way you act around me right as the lyrics kick in. It was fucking crazy. It was something I listened to in my free time, not gonna lie. It was a bit jarring. But she asks, is it true? Do you like me? And he admits, a bit ashamed. She asks, why did you not tell me earlier? Which, I mean, it is hard to tell people that you like them. I mean, hell, I got asked out in Morse code. She's story is fucking funny. Like, I know people will tell you in their own way. Apparently, I got raised up in Morse code. True fucking story is funny as shit. Anyways, so Freddy is like, I was super embarrassed, and she admits to liking him too. You know, and she admits to loving them. So they kiss. The first full CF signature kiss scene. As the kiss concludes, so does the episode. 3 episodes deep, and wow, this is flying by. Bonnie is glad he hooked up Freddy and Chica. Foxy finally makes his debut in season 1. So Bonnie hugs Foxy because, you know, they're good friends. I'm just gonna say this now. I'm gonna be honest. I thought Bonnie was gay for like a lot of this show, especially I'll explain later on. But he gets in a relationship with one of the characters, and like they disappear for like a good chunk of time. And there's a certain joke in season 2. I low-key thought Bonnie was gay for the longest time. I'm gonna be honest. There's like a 50-50 chance saying CF is watching this, and if you are, I'm not gonna lie, I thought Bonnie was gay. So Bonnie wants to talk to Foxy for a second. So Bonnie takes Foxy to the backstage and explains, you know, what just happened. You know, the whole Freddy transformed again, and apparently Bonnie was supposed to make sure it never happened again. Bonnie says, hey, I was just trying to help Chica and Freddy get together, and things, you know, took things a tad too far. Foxy yells whose ideal was it to make it happen. Bonnie admits mine, so Foxy yells a bit. Like, it was your fault. Bonnie says, sorry. So Foxy cools down and does apologize. He is a bit overprotective of Freddy, which, wow, ton of lore drops, you know, but hey. I do kind of like this show, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I know I criticize this show a good bit, but just know it's because I love it. Bonnie says, I get it, I'm sorry for letting Freddy transform. So Foxy says, let's just try to keep him transforming from now on, and, you know, Bonnie agrees, which is probably like a really good choice to agree, you know? And Foxy reminds him that Freddy is on his 4th strike. If he transforms again, who knows what will happen. Bonnie is surprised by this news as much as I am. So Foxy says we can't tell Chica or else Freddy will get angry, and if he gets angry, he'll transform, and we can't let him transform. So Bonnie and Foxy agree to prevent another transformation, and they head back to the rest of the game. Now we are on the halfway point of the season. Bonnie announces they're back to the table when they get a knock on the door. Chica wonders who it is, and who could it be? And Freddy says, I'll check. He opens the door, and it's Toy Freddy and Toy Chica. So it turns out the toys place closed down, so they asked to stay for a while, and Freddy says, sure, take all the time you need. Toy Chica decides to hug Freddy, and he says, no problem. He did not like the hug. From what I remember, it did not seem like he enjoyed it. But you can tell, he likes hugs a bit. Anyways, Chica then asks if she can have Toy Chica asks if she have a couple other their friends over. And Freddy says, of course, there's more than enough room. So Freddy is happy to have some company and tells the others to follow him. And, you know, you guys are going to like my other friends. So, anyways, that's where episode 4 ends. We're at the halfway point. Not gonna lie, really invested. I mean, no wonder, like, this did good in the algorithms back in the day, because I am low-key really invested. Anyways, I will say the transformation side plot does feel a bit rushed in all regards. But anyways, to see the rest of this. So he introduces his friends. his friend Chica is happy to meet new people. So Mango's automatically into Bonnie, so I assume that will be what fuels the rest of season 1 instead of the transformation side plot, maybe. So Chica wants to talk to Freddy in private real quick. He agrees, and they go backstage, and Chica is a bit suspicious of the toys. Freddy says they don't seem bad, give them a chance, you know, and apparently Chica is, like, really, really paranoid when it comes to, like, people, so, I mean, makes sense. You know, she's a bit suspicious of the toys. Freddy says they don't seem bad, give them a chance, and apparently, you know, she's always had a problem with trusting newcomers, and Freddy says, I know, they seem like good people like us, either way, she is suspicious of them, which fair enough. But Freddy decides to say, hey, how about you trust them later? She agrees, and he gets Chica's attention, and picks her up and gives her, yeah, another CF Chica Fazbear signature kiss scene. I like saying that more, but rather than CF's. Chica Fazbear signature kiss scene. I want to call you by your original name, CF, and you can't stop me. Well, you can in the future, but not now. I can't wait to find out what the entire... I can't wait for you to see it, because it's gonna be fucking funny. I want to get a Discord message like, did you make this? I can already imagine it. It's probably gonna be in like 3 months, but anyways. Anyways, part 7. So Chica tries to break the ice with Mangle and Toy Chica, you know, girls. Oh, I did, fuck. I ruined my future joke. Anyways, the girls head into the kitchen and try to break the ice, you know, and they want to talk, you know, what do they want to talk about? And like clockwork, the arbitrary boy talk comes up. Chica immediately says, isn't that a bit girlish? Okay, I'm gonna stop. Which definitely had me laughing a bit, and I gotta lie. Definitely got a chuckle out of me. Toy Chica brings up the fact they are, in fact, girls. Chica says, good point, which I thought was really fucking funny. Toy Chica brings up how Freddy called Chica sweetie. Does that mean you two are, like, together or something? And Chica admits to them being together, and Toy Chica is really supportive of this. Toy Chica immediately shifts her attention to Mangle and asks if she likes anyone. Mangle immediately gets embarrassed and says, no. You can't... Fuck. I was doing a joke. You know the thing where you put your fingers together and, you know, you put your 2 index fingers together and your thumbs are up and then you, like, back and rub them back for, you know, I might have a fucking clip of that on there. Fuck it. I might not. You know what I mean, right? I was doing that when I was doing the embarrassed thing, but I can't because you guys can't fucking see me, and I don't feel like... I low-key do not feel like... You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do this shit live. Hold on, let me find my camera app real quick on my computer. Fuck it, we're doing this shit live. So you guys will get to see me in all my glory. Yes, I had to pause the recording to find the camera app. Okay, dropping you to where you can see me. Okay. Recording. Okay, so, dear fucking... God, this camera's shitty. I'm, like, glowing on, like, one of my cheeks. It's like... Why is it glowing? Why is it white? I'm not this white in person. What the fuck? This is what I was doing. It's like, oh, she's so embarrassed. You know, I was fucking having such a problem doing this. You guys got so much effort out of that. Okay, so... You know, she's embarrassed and says, Toy Chica, you know, kind of sees through the act like it's glass. Mangle then tries to shift it, asking Toy Chica you know, trying to get out of the situation, but Toy Chica says, I asked first. Mangle says fine and admits to liking Bonnie, and Toy Chica, having girl boss energy, tells her to tell him, and Mangle's like, I can't do that. Plus, you've been here for like a fucking day. He definitely doesn't really know you that well, so there's that. To be fair, rushing stuff is a bad idea in general, but Toy Chica continues to pressure Mangle, and then she says, fine, I'll do it. So Toy Chica thanks Mangle for deciding to do this, and Mangle says, okay. Mangle approaches Bonnie, and she tries to strike up an awkward conversation. Bonnie asks if there's anything you need, and then she fucking kisses him. Yeah! Another Chica Fazbear kissing! Yeah! And boom, they're together. Wow, 2 whole arcs in 1 season? Oh, my cup runneth over. Anyways, Toy Chica... I fucking spit all over my monitor. Hold on. I'm a disgusting human being. Don't judge me. Don't judge me! Anyways, Toy Chica is happy she got them 2 together. We then go into part 8. So Goldie is talking to Chica, and Goldie asks, how are you 2 doing? And she says it's okay, and Dee notices she's a bit off, and says, don't worry, we all get nervous once in a while, and she's getting nervous. So Golden tries to console her a bit, and she is really worried about what if it goes wrong. And Goldie says, trust me, it will go fine. She finally agrees to go, and Goldie is happy that he helped Chica over this hurdle. Freddy is talking to Toy Freddy, which I feel like is kind of talking to yourself in a sense, anyways. And he explains he is pretty nervous he might mess this up for Toy Chica. Before Chica. And Toy Freddy, being an absolute Chad, absolute... Ah, my fucking ears. I don't think I'll ever do that again, because that fucking hurt my ears. My ears actually rung a little bit from the first one, dude. My hands hurt from that. I don't think I'll ever do that again, dude. But yeah, bro's being absolute Chad, dude. So, yeah. I'm trying to figure out where I was. Hold on. Toy Freddy says, trust me, it's going to go off perfectly. With this new confidence, Freddy knows he can do this because Toy Freddy was a supportive bro. So Freddy and Chica meet up at the movies. A bit cliche, but hey, it does actually happen despite being how overplayed it is in media. They go and watch the movie, so Freddy assures her the trailers looked good, which I mean, trailers can be misleading. Like most Steel Wool games, Jackie being fucking front and center in Secret of the Mimic, but got like, what, 15 minutes of screen time? Anyways, it was the Trolls movie, and this kind of carbon dates the video. I can't believe this was a real movie. Anyways, Chica likes it, so Freddy did something right at least. They decide it's probably best for them to go home, and Chica is glad they went to see the movie, and they make out, yeah, another Chica Fazbear kissing! Golden asks, how did it go? And he says, perfect. Goldie is happy as Springtrap wakes up in the back, wanting to make his revenge. Dang, so close to the end of Season 1? Or needs to pace it out a bit. Anyways, now on to the season pre-finale, which I know there's like a word for that, but I don't care. Springtrap gloats about finally being strong enough to beat the animatronics. Okay, prediction time. He makes Freddy transform. That's my theory. By the way, I wrote down this theory literally right before seeing what happens afterwards. Keep in mind, I write these scripts as I watch it. So, I didn't know. Anyways, we then transition to the other girls chatting. Mangle is still a bit embarrassed to talk about her and Bonnie. When Chica then wonders who Toy Chica likes. By the way, we don't get to figure that out till like season 4, so do not hold your breath. Chica and Mangle starts to pressure her since all the other girls have boyfriends, so Chica is about to admit it. When she, admit who she likes, when all of a sudden we hear a very loud jump scare noise. I think that fucking damaged my eardrums. Ow! Anyways, it sounded like Toy Freddy, so they go to check on him, and he is transforming into a corrupted form by Springtrap. He then says, "Master sent me to kill you all." Toy Chica tries to get Toy Freddy out of there, allow him to win over evil. Chica, seeing this is not working, says they gotta get boogieing. Toy Chica says she will never leave Toy Freddy. So Toy Freddy says, well, then I have to kill you. Then Freddy gets in the way. Freddy warns him to stay back as he tries to help Toy Freddy. But bro is too far gone, and Freddy asks who is your master as Springtrap comes out and says, me. And Chica says, who? Who's that? And he says, I'm Springtrap, and I want my revenge, which, wow. Kind of funny that no one knew who the fuck he was. And the fact he laid everything out plain to see, like, I respect that. Like, he just kind of lays out the reason he's here, but doesn't explain the plan. I like that. Anyways, Mangle then says, what did you even do to you? And then we get a Tony Crynight spiel. You took the stage, my friend from me. Toy Chica asks who is your friend, and he just says Fredbear. Mangle says, who? We don't have anyone called that, I swear. By the way, I swear to God, if we get a full Tony Crynight plot, I am going to die. I am going to sacrifice a child in the name of erasing Tony Crynight from my memory so I can rewatch it and be weirded out, I guess? I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that joke. Anyways. Springtrap says, all I can say is he's a yellow bear named Fredbear. When pressed on this situation, Toy Chica thinks Yellow Bear, which leads to Golden Freddy. And hearing the name Golden Freddy, he corrects her to Fredbear, shutting that down, meaning, yeah, it was probably Fredbear at some point, but we never get a conclusion to this, by the way. We just don't know. So, now he's back on full intent on getting his revenge. Bonnie walks in wondering what's going on, and he sees Springtrap and asks who that guy is. Springtrap, not being polite the second time, says, looks like another animatronic to kill. Freddy then says, you will not hurt my friends. Bonnie tries to calm Freddy down, knowing the consequences, which I think my theory may have been right. Chica also tries to calm Freddy down, and that didn't work either. Freddy assures Chica. Springtrap makes Freddy transform, and I fucking called it! I swear, I didn't know that before clicking on the video, I swear. I mean, fuck, you could check the last video, and you can see I didn't really change the script. So he transforms, well, I did change a few things, so at least I'm somewhat unique. So he transforms, which is big bad. Bonnie knows it's over, and Chica is shocked by what she sees. He then challenges Springtrap, and now on to the Season 1 finale! Springtrap says, ready to die, Freddy. And Freddy's like, I don't die easily. Springtrap taunts, we will see about that, Freddy. Freddy transforms, scaring Chica, and Bonnie wants... And, Bonnie's like, man, shit's going down, we gotta bounce, and tries to get people to go. Mangle agrees, and they come up with a quick plan of who gets who and dips. Bonnie tells him you gotta be careful, and Mangle says, trust me, we got this. Bonnie Mangle and Bonnie kiss. Yeah, another Chica Fazbear kissing! Then Toy Chica urges them to help get the others. She leaves so the rest of the gang can get out of here. Bonnie urges Chica that they need to get boogieing. Chica says, I won't leave without Freddy. Bonnie, knowing what's up, says, we need to go without him. She suggests leaves both of us behind. Then, as she doesn't want to leave the bear, Bonnie breaks it down, you know, is like, if Freddy loses, you die, and I won't let that happen. So she says, then that's okay, if he loses, I'd rather die. So definitely a little weird. She's one of those weird chicks. I think it's funnier she's a chick and I call her a chick. I honestly, I think that's funny. Don't mind me. Bonnie says, we have to go now. She is pissed and says, go, leave me, I don't care. No longer giving a shit, he decides to leave. Nightmare Freddy attacks Springtrap, and Nightmare Freddy starts to win when a gunshot is heard, and Chica yells his name. As Springtrap gloats, looks like I'm winning. He leaves with Toy Freddy, as the rest of the game, the rest of them to their fate. Chica rushes to Freddy's side as Goldie walks in, hoping everything is fine. He sees the aftermath and Goldie says, I'm sorry. This was a bullet. But this bullet Springtrap used has silver in it? Really? Werewolf shit. You know what? Not my place to judge. It's not my place to judge what my friend did like 9 years ago. Anyways, she has no idea what a gun is, which I mean makes sense if they're robots and all. But if I was a robot, I don't think I would get guns as a concept. And it can go through animatronics, less Freddy being dead. Okay, so I did some research, right? Given how girthy the plates of the Nightmare animatronics are, as in the Endo, I think it would have stopped that silver bullet, since it might be either aluminum or steel, given that's how, that's what real animatronics are made out of. My point being, the animatronic frame is so thick, it would stop a silver bullet, and that's if it even makes it to Freddy. Keep in mind, silver bullets are significantly more dense than lead. Thus, the bullet would have had bullet drag significantly quicker, and due to silver being hard to get, especially the pure shit, either the bullet would shatter inside of Freddy, or it would just and then fall out, given how thick the plates are. Plus, given how thick the plates are, even if it splintered, all the wires would have been, protected, given what we've seen in the Nightmare Endoskeletons. Anyways, I rest my case, and this is my TED Talk. I'm telling you, CF, get me on the project, I'd love to voice that. Anyways, jokes aside, other than the offer, I would love to voice act for this, man. Jokes aside, Chica starts crying, thinking Freddy has passed, and Goldie says, I'm sorry. And that's how the season ends. So, season 2, it begins about 2 years after the events of the season. Some poor girl is being mugged when Bonnie comes to help her, which is really fucking funny, and the guys are like, Oi, what are you gonna do about it? So, he kicks her ass, and the lady thanks Bonnie. Her name is Jody, which, I want to be, entirely fucking honest. I don't know this, but it might have been a self-insert. I'm not sure, I'm just saying. It might be. If it is, it'll be funnier. I asked CF right after I saw this, and you'll learn her answer a little later. And if it was, it would have been funny as shit. So Bonnie rushes off because he was doing something before this. And Bonnie is happy to be making new friends, but he definitely misses his old ones and wishes he could see them again, which fair. Honestly, that's fair. But anyway. You know? And it's all because things could have been, you know, it would have, things have been different since Freddy died. They just kind of went their separate ways. Wow, I didn't realize that Freddy held that together. Low-key actually getting a bit invested into Season 2. Anyways, Bonnie is sad when he bumps into Golden Freddy, and he hugs Goldie since it's been like forever. And they're both glad to see each other. Other than that, after so long, Bonnie asks how Chica is holding up since she chose to stick with Golden after Freddy died. Goldie admits she's doing fine most days, she just doesn't act like herself sometimes. And Goldie does admit he wishes things could have gone back to how they used to be. Bonnie echoes the sentiment as Goldie then says, "Do you want to see how Chica's doing?" And Bonnie is like, "Of course." He's excited to see a friend once again. So they head back. We then transfer to episode 2. It's kind of hard to make fun of this because I actually low-key really like it. So most of the jokes just come out of the cringe era rather than a thing I can make a joke about or a funny clip until later. Anyways, other than the Freddy transformation thing, that was just plain funny. Anyways, I'll get back to talking about this. So Goldie shows off his house before heading in, and Bonnie compliments Goldie as they head in. And Bonnie asks where Chica is. So he heads up to see her after all this time, and Goldie, says, "Do not mention Freddy," and Bonnie says, "I won't." So Bonnie is worried she'll be mad at him for what happened, and she is surprised to see him, As Animal by Maroon 5 plays. God. Maybe cringe, but man, this is what I signed up for. She hugs him like he, just like he did to Goldie. And she says it's been way too long since they've seen each other. And Bonnie says it's good to see you. He then asks if she's mad at him for what he did. She is quite confused, then asks, "What did you do?" And he mentions about what happened 2 years ago. She starts to break down, and Bonnie is like, "Hey, I didn't mean to." And she says, "You're good, just leave me a minute. It was good to see you." He then proceeds to mention fucking Freddy, and then I let out this noise out of like pure befuddlement. Yeah, I don't know. That was my low-key reaction. Good, bad, neutral, I literally do not know what that noise was. So, Bonnie tries to get back on track, and she is like, "Leave me alone." Him feeling bad. He did the one thing Goldie said not to mention, so he immediately regrets and wonders if Goldie will be mad at him for doing that. Which, in my man's defense, after that long, it would make sense to ask about that event, like it was inevitable. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at him as much as to be like, yeah, that makes sense, it was 2 years ago, I kind of want to know what my friend's been up to since then, and like, did it affect you that much? I mean, reasonable questions, I mean, after that long time, it only makes sense to ask about that event, like, it was inevitable. So he talks to Goldie, and he asks if she's good, And Bonnie is like, hey, I have to tell you something, but please don't be mad. Goldie asks, what is it? And Bonnie says the truth. He accidentally mentioned Freddy, and Goldie is like, what? And Bonnie says, it was an accident. I didn't mean to. Goldie's like, yeah, okay, I do forgive you since it was an accident. He then, he gets it, after so long, a question like that was to be expected. So Bonnie thanks Goldie for forgiving him, and Goldie says, I'm going to talk with Chica. Bonnie says okay, which, yeah, I kind of get that. So, Goldie goes to talk to her, and he asks if he can come in, and she's like, no, leave me alone. Goldie then says, I just want to talk. She reluctantly agrees and asks what he wants to talk about. And he says, I get it. Freddy meant a lot to you as he did to me. You need to move on, which, I mean, if the guy's own brother is saying it's time to move on, maybe, just maybe, he has a point. This point becomes so much more fucked up in the next season. You'll know what I mean when we get there. It reframes this entire season and 2 year gap. It is fucking crazy. So she's still devastated because she, loved him. How could she ever move on? And Goldie says, I get it, it's hard. But staring at a photo all day. But you need to move on. Chica says, what photo? He says, the one, and points to the photo. She says, I know, but you need to understand, I miss him. How much I miss him. Some grieving, some grieving widow type shit. Anyways, so, Goldie says, listen, I know you can't get rid of your love, but at least try to forgive him at least till Christmas. That way they do a party or something, I guess. She says she'll try, and I get the sentiment, but you're tied to her. But a little bit of the odd way, is at least the saying. But anyways, he thanks her and apologizes for mentioning the fast man himself. She forgives him, then he then offers to come downstairs and hang out. She says, sure, and fuck, another song I listen to, Word Change. It's been a minute, but I do listen to that song from time to time. So, Goldie asks if anybody wants to do something, and Bonnie says, sure, Chica, come up with it. Since she's back, and she's like, sure. Goldie agrees and says, sure, you're cool. She suggests spin the bottle, which, I mean, maybe you're trying a bit too hard to forget Freddy. Bonnie asks to not play since last time he had a kiss Foxy, and Goldie says, come on, run around. Bonnie reluctantly agrees. Chica hands Bonnie the bottle and tells him to spin, and it lands on Chica. Bonnie thinks to himself, at least it didn't land on Golden Freddy. And then says, you ready? She says, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the cringe here is a bit much, and I did sign up for the cringe, so I'm saying, for the cringe. So they kiss, and yeah, another Chica thighs we're kissing! She then takes the bottle as it's her turn. It lands on Golden Freddy, they kiss. Goldie spins it and lands on Bonnie, and he is the opposite, he is very, very opposed to it. And Chica says the bottle chose you. He tries to get out of it since Goldie is his best buddy, and you don't kiss your best friend. Oh man, I wish my ginger friend would get that. That man will just kiss you without consent. Chica says fine, have it your way, and Bonnie says, really? As Chica forces Bonnie to kiss, and you go, hold up. Wait, he's actually really into that. See ya, Chica Fazbear's Freddy X Chica woke. Yeah! boy kissing! Please let me be Bonnie, man. What I'd give to do the boy kisser role. Anyways, Chica says they look like they're more than friends. Wait, isn't he with like Mangle? Wait, hold on. What happened with that? This is what I mentioned earlier. This is why I thought he was gay, because he did get really into it, and I was like, wait, what the fuck happened with Mangle? Because there are so many of these moments that are like tipping the edge. I'm really confused because, like, wait, wasn't he with Mangle? But there's just so many of these scenes where it makes him seem gay, you know? Because it feels like CF wanted to do that, but never did. I don't know. It just it mildly befuddled me for the longest time because I was like, wait, isn't he with Mangle? Anyways. So, it's now Christmas! So she asks if they're ready. Golden says, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Bonnie is also excited, which, I mean, you were really excited last episode. I mean, bro was really into that kiss. Jokes aside, so the dude thinks she needs to tell them. She says, look, there's a mistletoe behind Bonnie, and you know, Bonnie's like, oh no. She asks, what is that? What is it about? And Bonnie asks, why do we have to have it? And Chica's like, because I like it. He reluctantly says, fine, but I'm avoiding that thing at all costs. She mentions how she invited the toys, and, you know, he is excited to have them over at this time. Unfortunately, Toby Freddy won't be there. Bonnie asks why, and Goldie says, remember, captured by Springtrap? Bro then says, oh, I forgot, my bad. The fucking funniest shit. Chica says, yeah, it's Christmas, we can deal with it later. Wow, 2 years and you only now thought something needs to be done? Crazy. Anyways, they arrive and Chica answers the door to greet them, and Mangle is really happy to see Bonnie, and likewise with him. Wait, hold on a minute. Are we just gonna brush over how into the kiss with Goldie was? Man, me messing around aside, they hug, and Mangle says, it's good to see you, and Bonnie and Tail reflects the same attitude. They kiss. Man, really just glossing over it! Yeah, anyways, dead jokes aside. So Chica says, let's have a Christmas party now! About an hour passes by, and Chica asks Mangle if she's enjoying the party, and, you know, she's like, yeah! And, you know, she thanks Mangle, and then, you know, she gives her a present for Chica. She asks what it is, and Mangle says, gives it to her, and it's because it's something that relates to Freddy as a memento to remember him by. Chica thanks Mangle, so she sees what it is. It opens up, and then, she then greets the others and does the same thing, She wants to know if they're having a great time. Bonnie says it's amazing, and Goldie agreed. They get a knock at the door, and Bonnie's like, who could that be? Chica goes to see, and it's Foxy. Says, ahoy! She hugs him after not seeing him after so long, and he agrees. Goldie asks, what have you been up to for the past 2 years? And Foxy's like, living with a roommate. Yeah, I get that. The future is most likely going to be like that because housing prices are expensive for us plebeians. Anyways, Bonnie agrees and asks who the roommate is, and it's fucking Jody. I asked CF, and, if Jody was a self-insert, and her exact quote was, Jody is not a self-insert. She agrees. This chick has the personality of white bread, at least, so there's that at least. Anyways, they hug. He is like, man, it's great to see you. Foxy is surprised, like, he knew her, you know, he was surprised that she knew Bonnie. And he explains that he saved her earlier. She again thanks him for earlier, and he says no problem. Foxy thanks Bonnie for, you know, saving his roommate. He once again says no prob. Chica decides to go on a walk for a second, and Goldie's like, you okay? Do you need me to go with you? And Chica says, I'm good, I just need to clear my mind, which, I mean, fair. I go on walks when I get overwhelmed. And Goldie says, okay, just be careful. And she says, don't worry, I'll be fine. Man, the times I've said that, and it went horribly wrong. Like my sleep schedule. Anyways, like my sleep schedule, I decided to make 3 channels. They are worth it. But to be fair, this one's just easy. I just get a yap about what I like. Anyway, she promises she'll be fine and walks. Jody asks if they're together, and Bonnie says no, just really good friends, which I'm just gonna say that if the person you love dies and you go to their brother, I'd be kinda worried how long that'll last. So she's just venting to the open air about how she misses Freddy. You know, she starts crying and trips, and someone in a hood catches her and asks why is she crying. My prediction, it's Freddy. She says, I just lost somebody close to me and trying to get over it. The hooded man says, oh, that sucks. Is there anything I can do? She says, all I want is my boyfriend back. And it is Freddy. And the man opens his hood and it's Freddy! I fucking called it! I swear I didn't know! I literally just guessed. Anyways, we get it, you know, we get his, you know, we get a to be continue. It's, damn, that's a right time, the perfect time to cut it off. And holy shit, centuries by law, boys. Oh, dear God, the jokes write themselves. I don't know what to say, because, yeah, cringe, but Fall Out Boy is fucking funny. So, she is shocked to see him back, you know, like, she is, struggling to say much, so all that comes out is, but you, Freddy. Freddy says, hey, you okay? And she's like, I missed you so much. Freddy also missed her, so she asks how he's alive. I thought you died. And he says, remember how he was in my nightmare form? When I was shot, it killed the nightmare in me. You know, the silver bullet thing. Again, it wouldn't hit him. Anyways. So she asks, so you won't turn into that horrible monster? And he says, yep, it's dead. And she gives him that big ol' smooch. Big ol' wet one. Why the fuck did I say that, man? Another Chica Flash kissing scene! Woo!
Holy god, thank God.
I don't know, I just felt like playing that one, I'm gonna be honest. It's the gift that just keeps on giving. Anyways, yeah, they get really into that kiss. After that, she says, oh, I love you, Freddy. And he reciprocates that love, so Freddy and Chica heads back. Goldie is a bit worried and hopes she's fine. Bonnie reassures him. Bonnie gives Goldie a hug to make him calm down, and Bonnie says, come on, give him a break. Give her a break. She's a grown woman, have some faith. He says, you're right, as she walks into the room, and he is glad to see her, and she says, I brought someone special, as Freddy walks into the room. They're both extremely happy to see him, and Goldie is happier to see them, and man, I love the caption specifying they're brothers, not a couple. Fucking funny as shit. Goldie asks, how are you even alive? Chica explains everything, you know, the brass tacks, you know, the brass tacks and all. Goldie is satisfied, and Bonnie is just happy to see Freddy back, and they prepare to celebrate a bit since Freddy's alive. Okay, 50-50 says he's a clone made by Springtrap, or he's just here, apparently. So we begin with that one song from Suicide Squad. That's my only retort to fucking hearing that one song from Suicide Squad. Anyway, so he gets everyone together and he mentions, I know what happened to Toy Freddy, and he's like, we're gonna save him! Yeah, I feel like Freddy may not, maybe not Freddy, maybe. Bugsy says how he is like really strong. Monty Ethan says, yeah, he is going to win. How can we beat him? And he says that was in the past. We need to focus on the future. Goldie agrees, and Freddy and Chica say the future is the future. So someone asks what if we don't beat him, and Goldie says, what it matter as long as we're together. The power of friendship and some shit. So Freddy says, it doesn't matter if we win or lose. It is only important is the future and the future. What a touching moment. Bonnie decides, fuck it, we ball. Foxy agrees and mentions, because we are a family. Man!
Family, 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 family.
Man, I've waited so long to use that clip. Okay, this is so cringe, it's good. Now this is what I signed up for. This right here, peak cinema. So they're pumped to take him down and save their friend. So they walk for 3 hours. Monty wonders how close they are. Foxy also wonders the same question as they've been walking for 3 hours, which, fair. Freddy assumes they are close, and Chica wants to know how Freddy knows where Toy Freddy is. So, after the Nightmare Freddy form got killed, he was unconscious for a long time, and in that time, he got visions and knows where Toy Freddy is based on those visions. Goldie asks, are you sure they aren't tricking you, Freddy? And he says he is sure. So, they finally arrive. Chica is kind of hyped, so they head in, and Foxy jokingly says, be quiet, we are hunting for rabbits. And Bonnie takes offense to that. To which Foxy says you're a bunny, not a rabbit. Big difference. There isn't a difference. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Yeah, they're the same animal. There is no difference. I was right. Chica tells them to be quiet, element of surprise and all that. So Springtrap asks if the machine is ready, and Toy Freddy confirms. It is. He says, good, let's put it to the test. So he tests it on a chair, and it goes kaboom. So he wants to use it on the animatronics. Okay, if Freddy isn't manipulated in some way by Springtrap, I feel like someone may die again. Freddy jumps out, ruining the whole surprise method I thought was the entire point. Springtrap is surprised he found them, and Goldie lays down the brat's tats. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We want our friend back. Springtrap maniacally laughs. Foxy then asks, what's so funny? He says the control I put on him is permanent. So Goldie says, so there's no way to break it? Springtrap says, no, there isn't. I mean, technically, there is a way. I mean, if you kill Springtrap, you can't follow a dead man's orders. So he's that. So he tells Toy Freddy to attack, and he does it with great joy. Toy Chica was trailing them and yells Toy Freddy's name. She tries to reason with him, but Springtrap says he is under my control. There's no way to break it. She says, no, you're wrong. I know it. I know Toy Freddy's still in there. Springtrap says, go on, I like to see you try. I like how he just entertains the ideal out of, like, boredom. Not even sick pleasure of seeing others get hurt. He just did it because he was fucking bored, which is it's just so fucking funny. Like, he could very well just have her murdered, but he's more entertained by this. So, she tries the, stereotypical, remember who you are. I know you're in there speech. He doesn't even remember who she is, so it doesn't work super well. So she tries the, you know, I'm like your best friend, Toy Chica, you're Toy Freddy, please remember? He says her name and starts to crack a bit, so she presses him a bit. I'm your friend, remember this? You gave this to me for my birthday, please remember. He then has a flashback to when he, you know, gifted her the gift. And, you know, that, you get Toy Chica, and he starts to remember and kind of snaps out of it. He can't believe that this could have ever happened as Freddy starts to struggle. This man, some Homer Bart shit with that. He is dead, and they all prepare to go home, but Goldie says he should probably destroy this first. So Chica beats the absolute fuck out of it. They all head home, satisfied that the Spring Man is dead. And bro, hearing this, is ready to die again. It's crazy. So, they are all finally back home. Foxy and Bonnie are happy that they're finally made it back after all the walking. Freddy has an announcement, so Chica says, what's up? And Freddy wants their opinion. Should they move back to the pizzeria? And Chica is all for going back. After all this time? Goldie agrees it would be. And Freddy asks the other two, and they agree. Off the bat, you know, Foxy agrees it would be nice to see the old place again. Freddy asks the toys, and I mean, they agree, probably because they have nowhere else to kind of live. They're probably homeless, or living in the dilapidated pizzeria. I mean, their place got shut down, so, yeah. Freddy then asks the toys, and they agree. Foxy asks, what about the other ones, since it was just like 2 of them? Shouldn't they also get a vote? Toy Freddy says, don't worry, we'll talk to them. And Toy Chica says they would most likely go along with it. Freddy says, while you do that, we will prepare getting everything ready over there. Chica likes this plan, and Toy Freddy agrees and heads to explain it to everyone. So they break away to get everyone on board, while Freddy gets everything back in action. So Toy Freddy meets everyone again, and they're glad to see him again. So Toy Chica and Toy Freddy ask if you want to go back to the pizzeria. Puppet says sure, and the rest follow. So the toys decide to head to the pizzeria, figuring the Fazbear gang is already ahead of them. Freddy is glad to see them there, so they head in and decide, and they're glad to see the place again. Freddy and Chica decide they should celebrate their return to the pizzeria. Oh man, I really like this, and I got invested, like, thoroughly. Currently, I like Season 1 better, but let's see if Season 3 can dethrone the peak. That was Season 1, which I was kind of surprised that Season 2 wasn't as good as Season 1, because CF definitely had a lot of things to jump off of that could have definitely improved the season a bit. But to be fair, if I did the math right, she might have been like 13 or like 12 while making this, so I can't exactly judge. But I have to make this entertaining in some way, so I do have to be a little mean to my friend. There's a 50-50. She'll never see this video. I'll mention it when I release it, but outside of that, she might never know this thing existed. It'd be kind of funny. Anyways, so we start off right where the last one left off, fixing up the pizzeria and getting it ready to go. Golden Freddy agrees, mentioning moving in because he is probably tired of sheltering like 4 people in his house, which fair. Chica brings up how this place is missing like everything. My bet, it got sacked. Anyways, Toy Freddy wonders how they're going to find said tables and chairs. Toy Chica mentioned how she saw a dumpster with tables and chairs, and it might have been there. Like, even like a year in, it is most definitely water damaged to hell or rusted as all hell. So, those chairs are fucked. Along with the tables, I would just buy new ones. Gotta rub my hands together, it's getting cold in here. I'm just kidding, it's like an oven. I hate my room. I'm gonna drill a hole to the outdoors so I can get cold air in here. Anyways, so yeah. So Freddy sends Toy Chica, Puppet, and Goldie to check it out, you know? Puppet and Golden, so they can just teleport it back. Hold on, if the Puppet can do that, or Goldie, why didn't they use that to make, like, the entirety of the last season easier? Like, teleporting the gang there would have made it simpler. Well, it was 6 hours, and it was still day out. So maybe they just fucking did that so light would come up by the time they got there, maybe. I might be overthinking this. Okay, anyway, so maybe they know something that I simply don't. Anyways, Goldie and Puppet follow, so Freddy gets the rest of the gang to work on fixing up the place. So Freddy and Chica has a brief back and forth. Chica says, "Teddy bear, it reminds me of this one time my 2 friends got together." She kept going, oh wait, oh yeah. So Chica called Freddy Teddy Bear, and this kind of reminds me of this one time when my 2 friends got together, and she called him Mouse, and he fucking called her Cat. It was so cringe, bro. I'm not even going to lie. It was the cringiest. I should probably be nice since he does review these videos. I may have made a poor choice. Nah, fine, I'll leave it in. I'm making fun of you, you know who you are. Anyways, Chica and Freddy do the schmooch, the average Chica Fazbear kiss scene established. Yeah! Toy Freddy's internal dialogue is like, man, I wish me and Toy Chica were like that. Well, we already know Toy Chica likes him, given what happened last season. So, I think this is going to be the season's arc. We're going to have fixing the whole pizzeria, Toy Freddy and Toy Chica getting together, some other shit, and then we're down. Anyways, outside of the whole fixing the pizzeria thing, so Toy Bonnie notices Freddy and actually thinks to check to see what's up. Toy Freddy says, oh, I'm just fine. I'm just, thinking, you know. Something's on my mind, and, you know, Toy Bonnie says, okay. And, you know, hides something. Oh my, wait, hold on. I'm not going to say what I think it is just yet. It never comes up. I want to be honest. Whatever he hid never comes up, and it really made me angry. I don't know why. It was just something that annoyed me because I was like, what did he hide? You know? Anyways. Okay. So, Freddy finally gets people to get to work, so they're fixing up the place when the chicken appears. Explains explaining Toy Chica explaining, that they did it. They found the tables, and Bonnie wonders where it is, where the chairs and tables are, as Freddy says, boom, all set up. Freddy thanks them, and Goldie says no problem, which, I mean, fair. We then get a knock on the door. Bonnie wonders who that could be. Toy Bonnie says, no, but I'll check. So Toy Bonnie is greeted to fucking baby. Wow, this dates the video all the way to 2016. The same year they released Resident Evil 0 on Steam. Yes, I know that off the top of the head. Don't fucking judge me. I like Resident Evil. Anyways, so Toy Bonnie, I mean, yeah, I like Resident Evil. It's not like I poured like 55 hours into Biohazard to 100% it. I'm currently working on 100%ing Village. And then the remakes. Not the first one. The first one's going to be hell as is. Well, I might 100%. I'm currently enjoying the original Resident Evil one, so... Anyways, me kind of getting sidetracked with one of the best gaming franchises ever. I'll die on this hill. Anyway, so Toy Bonnie says, nice to meet you. And Toy Bonnie invites her in, given the temperature outside. Remember, this was this is like at most a week post-Christmas. Well, this was in February, which can be cold some years. But post-date and timeline are real iffy sometimes. So anyways, so the 2-year time gap. CF didn't go AFK for 2 years. So this episode probably took place in 2018 in the timeline. Yes, I did the math on top of the head because I thought it'd be funny. So she enters and Toy Bonnie introduces her to the rest of the gang. We get the basic introductory songs. By the way, the song playing is Get Shell Shocked, which is in the Nightmare Fuel CGI Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. I wanted to mention that for those who have forgotten that, because I kind of forgot it existed, only to be reminded by this. Anyways, so Freddy asks that for those who have, So Freddy asks why she is wandering around, and she explains that they were trying to find a place me and my friends can stay. So Toy Chica asks if her pizzeria got shut down, which she explains the company didn't have enough money to finish it, so they just told her to go and find another place. Chica shows some pity to them. Toy Bonnie asks where her friends are, and it turns out they split up, all looking for a place to settle down. Freddy offers they could stay here if they wish. She thanks Freddy for letting them stay, so Baby goes to call them. Chica's a tiny bit suspicious, just like in Season 1. Oh, see, there's consistency. I want to be honest, I didn't expect there to be any consistency, but, I mean, there is. There's that at least. So, CF decides to add 2 puppets, one called Marionette. So, that's not going to get confusing quick. So, we get a quick indicator reminder, reminding which one's which, and this will be on a quiz. Anyways, so Marionette will be the girl, and we are explained that this is a retroactive addition. She wanted to make Puppet a girl, either due to the theory space at the time, or releasing Puppet may have just been a girl due to the books. Remember, Silver Eyes, man. It's been a while since I read that. I should probably read it again. At least the first one, not the other 2. Maybe the first 2, not the third one. The third one's honestly ass. So Baby calls the other Fun Times, Funtime Foxy picks up. Baby explains she found a place to stay and asks Funtime Foxy if she could get here. Funtime Foxy says, pretty sure I know where I'm going. You know, she's like, sure, I'll be there soon with the others. Baby tells, the other people, and Bonnie's kind of excited to meet new people. So Marionette has something to say and gets everybody's attention. She explains her brother will be in town and should be here tomorrow. Oh, so that's how we do the retroactive change. I mean, you didn't have to. You could have just changed the puppet's gender and then add the brother will be here. I mean, you could have just done that. It would have been a lot easier, avoid the minor plot hole. But anyways, I digress. Chica is thrilled about another animatronic she doesn't know coming over. So Bonnie notices she is a little agitated and decides to see why she's upset. And she expresses that she's fine. Just why do we have to deal with another new face? Puppet says I haven't seen him in like forever. And she planned the visit so they could catch up, and, Chica says fine. Puppet is like, awesome, can't wait to see him again. They get a knock on the door, and Baby checks it to see if it's the rest of her friends. So we don't get a pic because of a glitch. I don't know what that means, I want to be honest. Anyways, and she is glad to see them, so Funtime Freddy says, likewise. So this is the place, and Baby explains, yeah, and it has others that are awesome and super nice. So Funtime Foxy asks if we can meet them, and, Baby's like, yeah, they're awesome and super nice. So Funtime Foxy's like, oh, cool, you should introduce us. So Baby introduces them to our main gang, and Funtime Foxy is helping one of them is cute. Ballora agrees. So we get to meet they get to meet our usual cast of rogues, along with our familiar friends. Funtime Foxy's a bit bummed out, none of the boys are cute, which, I mean, Bonnie is objectively cute. Objectively. I realized, you know what, I was going to say something, but I was like, I mean, if I say that wouldn't really add to the joke. It would rather subtract from it, so I'm not going to say it so the joke can stay, It's kind of the design, the fact the toys were made for, they're supposed to look cute. Anyways, Bonnie realizes that Goldie isn't here and wonders where he went. Chica says I'll go and get him, and Goldie is embarrassed because he found cringe photos on the internet and he didn't want Chica to see what he was looking at, which is the first bit of genuine crying outside of nicknames. But to be fair, couples never get, the nicknames right. Anyways, Chica didn't really care. It says go meet the others, and Golden Freddy is embarrassed that he lied to her. Oh no! Oh, this season already has a ton of side plots. I can see it coming. Oh, in the 3 episodes, and CF has a good chunk of plots to close up well. Oh no. Oh, that reframes the entirety of Goldie being like, you should move on. Hold on, wait, maybe I'm misconstruing this. Let's just hope. Anyways, let's just watch. So Chica tries to get him to meet the new guys, and CF, tries some more daring animations in this one, but respect. Anyway, so Funtime Foxy falls in love with Goldie. Okay, now we're creating a chain here. I can see where this is going. It's going amazingly, so we can tie everything neatly. So yeah, Funtime Foxy is immediately infatuated, and Baby accidentally scares Funtime Foxy while she was daydreaming, the average. So Bonnie relays that Freddy says we can stay here, and he is glad to make them at home here. So like 3 hours pass, and Funtime Foxy is a bit sleepy after a day of things going on. Goldie approaches her, and Funtime Foxy perks up, and he explains he hasn't met her yet, so figures say hi at least. So Funtime Foxy asks what you think about them, and he explains, I mean, everybody seems like good enough people, but he hasn't met her yet. So he asks for her name and gets it, and he does the same. They exchange some small talk, you know, the usual. She yawns due to, you know, long day of walking and all of that. Goldie says, you're all good, we can talk later. Funtime Foxy says, that sounds nice, see you later. Bonnie gets Goldie's attention because they need to talk, and Goldie's like, what's up? And Bonnie explains it's about Chica. So Goldie asks, what about her? And Bonnie offers if he sits down while they talk about this. Oh, I think I know where this is going. He says, I guess, and he cuts to the chase and asks, do you like Chica? And Goldie immediately startled by this question, so Bonnie repeats himself and he admits it a bit. Okay, that kind of paints him in a bad light. Oh no, this paints him entirely in the bad light. Like the whole him trying to urge Chica to move on thing. So Bonnie tries to console him, given how much that must suck, and like how heartbroken he must feel. Like, and Goldie's like, it's okay, I knew she would never like me anyways. And Bonnie is like, why would you say that? And I'm paraphrasing here. He says, dude, she has a cute sparkle. Well, Mitch's Freddy is just lights. Her sparkles in her eyes just light up even more. Bro knew from the start she loved Freddy, and that just kind of paints him letting him live in her house, letting her live in his house in a very creepy light. Like, oh, that really frames him in a really bad light. But low-key, valid. Like, very valid, honestly, because, like, he knew he couldn't leave her because she probably would have starved or something. I mean, given how she was just depressed the entire time of that 2 years, most likely. I don't know, it just really paints Golden in a bad light. He was going to tell her that he loved him, that he loved her right before Freddy told Goldie that he couldn't. And at that moment, Goldie knew he couldn't do that. And Bonnie asks, did he know? And Goldie says, no one knew. He kept it a secret for so long. And anyways, Chica and Freddy, not to mention Freddy had mentioned earlier, he had no idea if he lost Chica. And in that moment, Goldie knew he was kind of fucked. You know, fucked his chances. You know, it has sailed, and he was stuck. So Goldie did what he had to do and let her go. This kind of reframes him in a good light because he's like, the ship has sailed. I'm gonna let it happen. Does that redeem him being a tad bit odd? No. But does it make up for at least a good chunk of it? Yes. So Bonnie tries to comfort Golden, and after Golden feels like he needs some space, Bonnie says, okay, I'll give you some space. And in that moment, Freddy needs to talk to Bonnie. So Bonnie heads to Freddy and asks what's up, and Freddy's like, I need to tell you something extremely important. You can't tell anyone. Not even Chica. And Bonnie says, okay, I won't tell anyone. Freddy drops that he wants to marry Chica. Holy shit, we are halfway through the season, and we got a lot going on. CF is going to need to get a lot done in the episodes to come. Bonnie is kind of shocked by this revelation, and Freddy says, you know somebody who could give me a ring? Please? He mentions, you know, this means everything to me. And Bonnie says, I may know someone who has one. Bonnie explains that she may not have it, as I'm not the only one who knows her. Freddy begs to see if she still has it, and I swear, if it's Jody, I'm gonna die laughing. Anyways, Bonnie says, I guess, and Freddy thanks Bonnie a ton, and Freddy is a little concerned. Bonnie explains that, yeah, this is where we meet all the time, and she, she's from the shadows, says, oh, Bonnie, I'm glad to see you. What brings you around? He says, yeah, nice to meet you, too. And Bonnie asks if she still has that engagement ring. She asks, oh, are you proposing to someone? And Bonnie explains, nah, it's for my friend Freddy. He's about to propose and needs a ring. She says, oh, cute. Yes, I still have it. Let me grab it, Freddy. He then asks, who is she? And how do you know her? He's about to say the name when she returns to the ring, and he thanks HC. This has to be like an OC or something, because I literally looked up, is there any FNAF character that could be abbreviated to HC? Like, it can't be Henry Emily. Could potentially Henry Charlotte, since there was a really weird thing going on around that time. And I don't think any of the book characters could be abbreviated to HC. So, I don't know. If it was SB, I could have seen it being Shadow Bonnie, or SF, it could have been Shadow Freddy. I could have seen that, but I don't know. So he's about to say, yeah, returns to the ring. Anyways, so Bonnie hands the ring to Freddy, so he checks the ring and it looks perfect. HC says, oh, you're welcome, and see you soon. So they head back to the pizzeria, and Freddy thanks Bonnie again for hooking him up. And Bonnie is like, anytime, mate, anytime. And Golden Freddy needs to talk to Freddy. I see where this is going. So Bonnie says, you two talk. I'll have the ring for you, Freddy. And Goldie prepares to tell him. Man, 7 episodes deep, and we had a lot of loose ends that need tying. This is definitely the biggest section, at least, in scale. So Freddy is talking to Goldie, and Goldie says, I'm not sure, and Freddy says, it's okay. You got my blessing. And he checks in on Chica, and she looks bummed, and Goldie asks, what's up? And Freddy says, it's not good. He asks why, and, he says that she is crying, so Goldie asks if she's okay, and Freddy says, I don't know, I'll check on her. So Freddy asks if she's okay, and she's like, being honest, I'm not. Freddy asks if he can pump squat next to her, and, she agrees. So Freddy's like, what's going on? And she admits. She says it's hard to explain, and Freddy says, well, I love you, I'm sure whatever it is, I'll understand. She admits to being scared about Freddy leaving. He comforts her with the whole, I love you with all my heart, I would never. And she's like, no, not like that, Freddy. What do you, man? He then says, what do you mean? Dear God, I can barely read my own script. And she latches on to him and says, I'm scared of losing you, like when you died. I can't do that again. They embrace each other. He says, I'm not going anywhere. Golden, seeing this, says, I can't take that from him. I would feel awful. He looks away from them and decides he's going to do what he can to make sure this lasts. Funtime Foxy notices him depressed in the office and decides to check up on him. And, he beats himself up about even thinking about asking. Telling her how he felt. And Mangle says, hey, Golden, what's up? May I sit next to you? And he's like, sure. So she asks, what's up? And he tries to deflect it, with it's nothing. She pushes a bit, saying, come on, if there's something, you can tell me. So he says a bit, he feels heartbroken. She pressures further, saying, about what? So he decides to tell essentially a stranger he loves Chica and can't get with her, which, I mean, I know talking to strangers is a thing people do. I just find it a bit odd. He even mentions toy Chica, but she already has her eye on someone. When he notices Funtime Foxy, she is bummed because he doesn't like her. She decides to, get it off her chest immediately, Oh, wrong. I see. So, yeah. She continues with, she decides to get it off her chest immediately. He immediately blushes, not expecting that, and she continues with, the more I learn about you, the stronger I feel. And can we at least give us a try? That's what you call trauma bonding. So he thinks to himself and decides it could work, and he says, sure. Let's give it a try. And of course, the arbitrary Chica Fazbear smooch scene. Okay, we're tying up loose ends, and man, CF, you really know how to tie up two threads quickly. We still have a few, and I can't wait to see where this goes. So, CF around this time got a new computer and explains that some of it was on her old computer, so mind the jump in quality. So Freddy wakes up after having the best sleep in forever, and he mentions how Chica was worried about doing this, but she had a long night's sleep, and she still passed out. She still passed out pretty quickly. So, Freddy and Bonnie, oh wait, hold on. They had a long night. So, she passed out pretty quickly, and he still thinks about how worried she was about losing him. So, Freddy goes looking for Bonnie so he can propose today. So, Freddy finds Bonnie and asks for the ring, and he says, oh, you want to propose? And Freddy says, yeah. So, Bonnie calls over Foxy because he trusted it to Foxy, and for him to also keep the secret. So Foxy returns the ring to Bonnie, and he then hands it to Freddy, and he thanks Bonnie for doing that for him. So Bonnie says, while you guys are gone, we will set up the wedding. Freddy says, thanks, I owe you two. He once again says, anytime, yeah. Just let that sink in a bit. Wow, not what I expected to ever read in a million years. Outside of the fact it's a joke. Outside of the fact that this is a joke, I still think it's funny. But I'm going to cringe to death. But in her defense, she was 13 when she made this, or at least somewhere in the ballpark. So I mean, we all do stupid stuff when we were younger on the internet. And that small thing will haunt you forever. Don't worry, we will get to the skeletons in my closet in a video or two. I still need to get the rest of that video working. First thing we can do is get... Wow, we got a 10-minute long episode. Must be a good one, tying up all those loose ends. So Freddy's hyping himself up, so he invites her on a walk, which, I mean, I like walks. Anyways, she, of course, jumps on board, and so he blindfolds her, and now she is kind of scared. He comforts her by saying, we ain't going anywhere any sooner, just trust me. Then says, okay. She then, is like, okay, I'm trusting you with this. He's like, don't worry, you'll be safe. So he takes her to a nice small camp area, and she is ecstatic about it. So he suggests they sit by the waterfall, and she, of course, says yes. He stops, and he reveals a guitar, and now they're getting into the potentially very cringe area. Turns out she bought this for him on his birthday, and Freddy says, yeah. Remember that song you used to listen to? And, she's like, yeah, and Freddy's like, I'm going to sing it for you. So we get a fully animated music video, which is kind of beautiful now, which, man, The cringe had me dying, you know, but low-key, Chica's kind of bopping to it, not gonna lie. Smooth animations, though. The animals are a strange choice, in my opinion. Okay. I like the funny hidden Goldie. I like that, you know. The balls confuse me. That's weird. Okay. I get the thought, but it didn't land, Chief. Okay, he fed Chica a piece of pizza. That had me slapping my knee. Not a joke. I actually physically did that while trying not to die laughing at 3 a.m. And yes, I do have a lot of time most days. I try to work on this when I got spare time. Okay, the wolves is where I draw the line, CF. Really? Okay, the foot play I don't like. The thought freaks me out. Okay, the anime character. Oh wow. This is type of this is like the type of whiplash, like seeing that anime guy in Mario and the Music Box. If you know, you know, you're a real G. If you don't know, don't look it up. You already fucked it up. You're not a real G. Anyways, okay, low-key, it's so cringe, it wraps back around to being sweet. Or am I just getting really into this series? My preconceived ideas of cringe is completely falling apart into something, you know, out of the pure investment I put into something into my friend made like 7 years ago. And she thinks it's really sweet that Freddy did this, and Freddy is glad that she liked it, and she continues about how she thought it was. He drops the big question. Is it 4 years? Holy shit, that means to some extent the upload schedule of these events take place, but also don't. Because of the year to 2 year long time jump. Anyways, he really leans into the lovey-dovey stuff, which fair. But it doesn't mean my exhausted 3 a.m. ass is able to contain the hearty laughter. I did giggle a bit. Anyways. So he finally drops the question, and she is in shock a bit before saying yes, they hug. And we get a signature Chica Fazbear kissing scene! Yeah! So Foxy's getting the last of the deco done, and you know, right as he finishes up, Freddy walks through the door. So Baby is excited, you know, making a quick jab while being like, so you're married now. And Chica confirms this, you know, and Chica says, you know, I assume he told you to get the decorations up, and Foxy confirms. Mangle chimes in, mentioning they did it, not a problem. Foxy mentions other than one, and Mangle says, you said we weren't going to mention that. And then Foxy says, I know, but it was an accident. Mangle says, still, that doesn't mean we mention it. Chica then asks, okay, what happened? And Baby says, we were in the back the whole time, we got no idea. Mangle says, since Foxy has already blabbered, I might as well mention it later. Then Freddy is like, hey, fun time Freddy. Can you be my best man? Bro! You can't be serious! That should be your top G. That should be Bonnie. He got you two together, guys. Chica, like, man, she got you and Chica together. Bro deserved that spot, but unfortunately, Funtime Freddy took it up. Or at least, like, Toy Freddy. Like, fuck, dude. L-pick, honestly. Chica at least asks Mangle, which makes sense, but bro made the wrong pick. So they do, you know, the two of them get ready, you know, for the occasion. Toy Bonnie asks Freddy if he's ready for the best day of his life, and he admits he's pretty nervous. And he kind of vents a bit of his anxieties, a bit about screwing it up, and Toy Bonnie is just like, don't worry, I know you'll pull it off. But then Freddy mentions she feels the same, so we then switch to Chica. She is indeed extremely nervous about the group, you know, about it, and her group reassures her, Laura with her eyes open! God, that scares the shit out of me! Goldie hypes Freddy up a bit about those two complimenting each other. So yeah, Bonnie is probably a Bonnie is a licensed person that can do marriage. Wow. The way Bonnie had some time on his hands. I mean, now my aunt is licensed in this shit. Though she said the most annoying part is just waiting for the legal stuff to get through, so he probably just didn't feel like it. So CF decides to just skip to the important part, so we get a ring part and Bon Bon brings it, so we get the arbitrary, do you take him to be your husband? And for you to take to be your wife, you know, the normal jazz. And we once more get another Chica Fazbear kissing scene! Woo! Yeah! So we get to see the other relations, so Goldie decides to take a photo, remember this forever. Oh. So, we get a Season 4 teaser. Okay, so Season 3 is definitely better than Season 2. But I say it's equal to Season 1. Which, I mean, there's gonna be a tier list at the end. I mean, that should do nice engagement. Yes! That will keep people engaged. Outside of my ass explaining Chica x Freddy. I mean, isn't that a gift enough? Now on to Season 4. So, we do open up probably sometime after the marriage. So Freddy wakes up, rubbing his eyes, and Goldie says good morning. And when Freddy turns to him, Freddy gets a good scare, as Freddy's eyes are yellow, not blue. I have a theory. Goldie tries to make a joke about Freddy looking better with yellow eyes, and Freddy did not take it lightly, so Goldie says, what happened to his eyes? And, you know, I think it has something to do with the ring. No doubt in my mind. So, I asked CF about that, and she was like, oh, yeah, we didn't really expand on that, but I wish I did. Anyways, he's trying to figure out why this happened, and Goldie asks, it was like, when you woke up, Goldie's, Freddy's like, yeah, it's been there since I woke up. So, Freddy asks how he can hide it, how he hide this in front of the others. I can't hide in here forever, which, fair enough. So, Goldie's solution for the time is blindfold. So, Goldie assures him he will find out something. So he's on his way as Freddy blindfolds himself, so he is just like, I just had to keep this going until Goldie finds something out. He runs into a wall, and Freddy already knows it's going to be a long day. God, like, my left nose is, like, stopped. Hold on. Oh, left nose is, like, fucked. Okay. So, yeah. Puppet and Marionette are chatting about normal stuff, asking if they had a fun time with Foxy. So Goldie asks Marionette to talk, to... Wait. Isn't the girl one, or did I get confused? Let me consult the manual real quick. Yeah, Marionette is the girl. Puppet guy. This will be on the test, and yes, I forgot. That's why I have the cheat sheet. Goldie then meets Puppet, Marionette's brother, and he then goes, we probably get one of the funniest meta jokes I've ever seen. So Goldie explains that Freddy's eyes are different, so Marionette asks what his eye color is. He explains it's yellow. Puppet says that sounds like a vampire, and heads to get something. Goldie asks, what's that about? When Puppet returns, the Marionette is immediately done with his shit, but Puppet says, the legend says vampire kind killed people for fun. Basically Dracula lore, or Drac the Impaler, depending on which one. But he would sometimes let people live. Rarely low, and accident And, you two would become vampires and evil like him. A Puppet says, so Freddy will turn evil and kill everyone. Well, good thing animatronics don't have blood, so Freddy can't be a vampire. Though the ring is turning him evil or resurrecting somebody. On the other hand, CF kind of forgot about the ring. It was like, yeah, I wish I did more with that. She was like, yeah. Anyways, both Goldie and Puppet don't give a single iota of a thought into his plan. And Goldie asks if he hit his head or something. Which, fair. Marionette says Goldie is right. There's no way he could be a vampire. And Puppet says, I'm telling the truth, guys. Trust. Real little bro type shit. He then asks, why don't you believe me? Goldie decides to do the smartest thing of any character thus far and says, if he is a vampire, I'll apologize for not believing you. But get those fairy tale stories out of your noggin, which, yeah. This keeps Puppet from killing Freddy, and it allows you, in the event of the smallest chance, you'll still be right. Puppet agrees to this course of action, and Marionette makes sure Puppet doesn't bother Freddy with adding it as a part of the agreement, just in case. And Goldie just makes sure for good measure he doesn't do anything stupid by simply saying, don't want him to catch on, just in case. And Puppet promises to do that. Toy Bonnie overheard everything and didn't get the whole situation. We don't want him to yap about this anymore, so Toy Bonnie plans to tell someone. So Foxy is, doing something on the computer when Toy Bonnie, gets his attention, and Foxy asks, what's going on? Then, Toy Bonnie says, it's about Freddy, he might be a vampire. And Foxy says there's no way he can be a vampire. Maybe you may just be hallucinating. And Toy Bonnie says he heard Goldie, Puppet, and Marionette talking about it. Foxy then turns us around at Toy Bonnie saying, so you were spying on them! Toy Bonnie then admits he didn't plan to. He was going to talk to Goldie when he overheard it and then apologized. Foxy then apologizes to Toy Bonnie for accusing him, and Toy Bonnie then apologizes, and they make up, the normal stuff. Foxy then says the whole vampire thing I'm not so sure on, though Toy Bonnie reluctantly says, okay, so Freddy has a headache, and it wasn't the banana, he hoped. And, he hoped to fix it quickly, and he notices those two in the corner and hopes they aren't getting suspicious, while Freddy has a bad migraine. Meanwhile, Toy Chica is sitting alone when Toy Freddy comes along and asks if something's wrong. She then says it's nothing, average complexion. So Toy Freddy asks if he can sit next to her, and she says sure. So he asks how your day was. She then says it was fine. He then holds her hand, making moves. I see you, Chad, man. My man! She immediately knows why he did it and is shocked. And he just shuts his eyes and lets her work it all out. And she admits she loves him. Then says it's the second time, but with his name. I don't know why this is a massive trope, but it's the only one I actually like, because I've seen shit like this play out in real time. He is immediately happy and says, I love you back. Then we get a signature. Chica says we're kissing! Yeah! Woo! Yeah, baby! Speaking of which, what happened to the fucking fun times? Then asks, will you be my girlfriend? She says yes, which I mean, damn. You really went into that kiss, so I think it's gonna be a peak. This is gonna be a peak season. By the way, in the comments, she says she regrets nothing, which I fucking loves this YouTube thing. It has a soul. So Goldie reveals his eyes are back to normal and asks if he's going to tell Tell her about it. Freddy says not yet, which I mean, fair. I'd still be concerned and want to know a bit more before explaining it. That way, if she has a question, you can just be like, yeah. Anyways, and Goldie's like, you're just afraid she'll freak out, aren't you? Your man's right for that, though, damn. And Freddy just admits it, and Goldie assures him that they will figure something out soon. Figure it out by morning, man. A 12-hour crunch? That's gonna fucking suck. Anyways, Freddy thanks him for doing everything he can. You know, he's like, you're welcome. So Freddy, after Goldie wink wink nudges. Okay, so after that, Goldie leaves and heads to the parts and service room where they have set up a bed for sleeping together. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So Freddy blushes as she doesn't have her bib on. With this get on in the back. As this get on in the background plays. This is the funniest shit. We then switch to Toy Bonnie and Foxy yapping before he yells, closing the doors. So Foxy and Toy Bonnie ask what happened, and he's just like, I have saw heaven.
Holy god, fingers. Those are
Freddy tries to
some
wave
big
them off
melons.
before deciding to wash up. Bro may be a bit bricked up. You know, brick the fuck up. If you catch my meaning. Foxy says, don't ask. We're on the same boat. Meanwhile, in Evil Lair base, Bonnie is, Ennard is looking at the board of animatronics, and he says, which one? If Ennard is copying Freddy, that would be fucking crazy, you know, the whole I boned your wife shit lips.
You're sweating really bad.
I fucked your mom, shit lip.
He then selected a picture of Chica. Hold on a minute. I better not be right. He then says, perfect. Oh no. Oh no. We then return to the pizzeria and she is embarrassed that he saw her naked. Like, bro, you're married. Have you heard of a honeymoon? She hears knocking and, she yells, go away. And Freddy asks to come in. She reluctantly allows him to enter and he apologizes. He's extremely sorry. They're married. He shouldn't have to. But I'll stop bringing it up. He then says he should have knocked, and then, she says, I understand if you're mad, which, fair. This guy's got more mental maturity than most people these days. She then says, I'm not mad, and he says, you're not? She then reiterates, she's not mad. I wonder where this is going, in the great words of Tucker. Bow chicka bow wow.
Bow chicka bow wow. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up.
I fucking love that show, man. Red vs. Blue is awesome. Anyways, back to the clink, clink, clink. He once again apologizes, but he then says, if it makes you feel better, I enjoyed the view. Now, I could play Holy Gashongas, those are some big melons. But am I above that? Fuck no!
Holy god, fingers. Those are some big melons.
What? No, man, I'm glad to see that clip come back. Oh, I haven't used it in so long. Oh, anyways. She then says quietly, and gives him the slightest shove. They have a good chuckle and she admits she is not fond of her body. Ew, those are some issues that are hard to fix. He asks for her to elaborate and she explains everyone else's body is beautiful, but mine's ugly. That's what the internet does. That's not what the internet thinks, man. The horse I've seen. Anyways, Freddy then goes full Discord mod. I mean, not in the weird way, more of the way he talks. He's like, Chica, I'll be 100% honest with you. I love you for who you are, and all that. And all that's not all. Fedora tip. You should be fond of your body. The other girls don't even make me react nearly as much as you, Chica. You know, she starts blushing like, dear God, this season is already above 1, and just like random shit like this I find extremely funny. Hold up, bro is grinding on her. This shit's getting real sensual. Oh, please tell me it's not like that alone time animation. Bro just starts listing her favorite foods, colors, shit like that. And the eyes are making me think, yeah, bro is definitely bricked the fuck up. And she knows. Anyways, she then says, what do you think? What do you think? My body is beautiful. And he says, it's gorgeous. And starts talking really dirty. I feel like I need a fucking shower. Okay. The quote, yeah, I feel like I need a shower. Then says, but he does say, I do get jealous. I do get jealous as a question, and he says, of your body. He then says, your body, you gotta have your body all to yourself. This is bordering on the soft sexual, and this is not coming off as sexual, just more, I want to be in your skin. He then says, I want it for just one night. This is not a hopeless case. This is not helping the case. And she was shocked with how confident he said, how sexy you are. I swear. If this is Innard actually doing this, I want to be fully fucking honest. I fucked your wife's shit lips is going to be the funniest joke. I really hate the dirty talk, dude. The best joke is working perfectly here. Anyways, just in case if I can't use it again later.
And stay tight.
Not Chica Wow.
Never mind. Tucker's in front.
It was worth it.
God, RVB was perfect. Anyways, that's consonate or union, man. What the fuck? Man, now on to part 5. Hopefully it gets normal, but holy shit, 13 minutes? Man, we're really stepping up production quality now, aren't we? So anyways, we start off with Freddy leaving the parts and services room. Puppet says morning to Freddy, and he's like, morning to you too, Puppet. Miranda asks, what brings you here? That Freddy is seeing if Goldie's figured anything out yet. Puppet says, well, we then notice those two are out like a light. Fair enough. I passed out in the middle making videos before, mostly in the hot summer. But it turns out they were up all night looking for a solution, so they at least did what they said they would. Freddy looks sad that they found nothing. Low key though, if this has nothing to do with the ring, I'm actually gonna ask CF what was the explanation without, like, you know, like what was with the Resident Evil 4, like, mysterious shopkeeper. I may or may not have been really into Resident Evil right now, so just expect more references. Anyways, Freddy says I'll check in later when they're up. Freddy then asks, what's Puppet up to? And Puppet just cryptically says, looking at a situation too. Freddy asks if he knows any solution. He then stammers a bit. You know, I hope. Kind of like Grace from Resident Evil 9 before saying, nope, nothing at all. Freddy, slightly weirded out by the stammer, says okay. He then leaves and grabs some coffee or something. Who knows? After Freddy leaves, Puppet sits down and reads his book. About 2 hours pass, and Freddy returns, seeing if they're up. He says, great, you two are awake. And Freddy explains that Puppet was up earlier when he checked, noticing that no one was awake, and, you know, he says, what? He says, what? Freddy pops a squat and informs the two Goldie explains they found nothing, and Freddy's just defeated, says, oh, how unfortunate. And Goldie sighs and says, there is something Puppet found. Please, God, tell me they're not going to actually make this a plot point. I get that CF really likes vampires, like, really likes them. Please tell me that was not the plan. Anyways, Goldie then specifies they're looking into it. Then he says, well, we'll tell you if anything goes on. And he goes, okay, understandable. He then heads back to his room to see if Chica's up, and Goldie goes, oh. And Freddy, like, what, there are scratches on your back? So, in the great words of Sister from Red vs. Blue,
Gross.
God, Red vs. Blue is truly one of the best shows of all time, ever. Anyways, Goldie asks what happened, and we all know. You know, they hold up. I got a couple jokes for this. I'm gonna look up terms for sex. You know, you got the hanky-panky, tapping ass. Okay, that was a bit too obvious. Shaking sheets, dodling, boinking, buttering a biscuit, getting one's kettle mindy, roping the trout in a Perseal river, doing squat thrusts in the cucumber patch is crazy, putting the wand in the chamber of secrets. Okay, that's fucking funny. The two-person push-ups. Taking grandma to Applebee's, if you know, you know. That's my favorite term for it. Alongside doing the squat thrusts in the cucumber patch and the Harry Potter one. That was just stupid. Anyways, he says hush, and then everybody gets quiet. I think this was a tiny joke, you know, to half of the shit I just said. Anyways, he then brushes it off and was like, oh yeah, scratch my back on the wall. I must have done it. And the marionette says, I don't think a wall could do that. And Freddy says, oh, Monty's calling me. I should see what he wants. And then he books it out of there. Then says, I'm not even going to get into whatever those into. Whatever else that was, I'm just going to say they did clink, 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 you know what I'm saying? Taking grandma to Applebee's. Yeah, so all the animatronics gets Freddy's attention, you know, like, they know he clanked all night, man. What am I doing with my life saying shit like this? You know what? I blame Tony Crynight. You're on the chopping block anyways. Anyways, Toy Chica says, tell us about it, bro. Bro, you don't ask that, you freak. Foxy then jokes, was it everything you imagined? Freddy asked the most reasonable question, did you hear anything? You know, and then they did the, a choice. Bonnie fucking said, you guys were really loud. My fucking god, dude. How do I respond to that shit? So Freddy starts blushing, which, yeah, I'd be traumatizing my buddies. Asked how it was taking grandma to Applebee's. Out of fucking context, that makes no fucking sense, dude. Like, we already did. I know at least one of my friends would dap me up for that, rather than speaking about it, you know? But I do know another friend that would probably make fun of me forever. And then the ginger would ask to join in. Jokes aside. So they laugh, which, dude, it's already fucked with him enough, bro. Give him a break. Foxy says, you two sound like you're having fun, you know? Chica's POV. So Freddy starts to get mad when Foxy makes a jab at Chica, Mangle, and Toy. Chica plan on asking Chica later. So Toy Chica asks, you guys saw those scratches, right? And everybody says yes. We then switch to Freddy in the back room. Freddy hits her with morning. I don't know, something about that felt really weird. Anyway, she rises happy, saying, "Morning." Freddy, says, "Morning, Freddy," and she says that was the best sleep she's had in ages. Sounds familiar. Oh yeah, by the way, it's like storming outside, so there's a 50-50 I lose power while recording this. So either you'll hear this intro or, "Hey guys, my power went out when trying to record this." I can't wait to figure out which one. Anyway, so... But Chica says she's a bit sore after yesterday. Hold on. I think my joke about Chica's POV may have been right. Freddy apologizes. He then says, I wasn't as gentle as I thought. I don't want to know that. She then specifies, it was your first time and all, and he then says, "You sure you're fine?" She then says, "Of course." We then transition to later that night. Oh man, I don't want another one of those, but I just spit all over my fucking phone because I quickly went to check the... Why did I check the time on my phone? I have a literal fucking... Hold on, I have to move my Roku remote because I'm putting my phone... Because my I don't know if other gaming chairs have this, my gaming chair has like little areas where the chair connects to the seat. I kind of put my shit there. I had to move it to the other one, but hopefully it's not like the other night because I don't want to deal with that again. So yeah, he wakes up later that night, his heart pounding. Freddy wakes up Chica to see if she's also hearing the thumping. She asks, "Thumping?" And he says, "Yeah, it just faded away." It's just like, "Yeah, that's weird. Not there anymore. I don't care." Chica's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then says, "Yeah, I guess I was just hearing things, sorry." And then he goes back to sleep, and then she says, "Don't worry about it. Just go back to sleep." He agrees and lays back down. Another 30 minutes goes by, and the thumping appears. And he leans up, deciding to get something to drink, in hopes that would help. She just says, okay. He drinks water and complains about the thumping. He then collapses and stumbles back into the room when she says, "I'm going to lay you down," which I thought she was going to fight him for like a split second, which I found incredibly funny. Like, she hits him with a fucking German suplex, dude. Imagine. If there's any good SFM animators out there, animate something of like Freddy German suplexing like Chica and send it to me. I'll fucking feature it in my next video or whatever, I don't know. Or I'll just laugh at it, I don't know. I want that video to exist now. Freddy fucking German suplexing Chica. Or no, Chica German suplexing Freddy, that's funnier. Anyways. So, she lays him down in bed, and, she then says, "Maybe you're coming down with something." She then wonders if there's something in the kitchen he can, get. I can get you, He then blocks her exit and presses her against the wall. Oh dear God, not again. And she's like, "What's gotten into you?" He then says, "I can't hold back. Dear God, man." She is low-key kind of confused. Fucking vampire jeans. Okay! I have to ask her why. In case you don't know, I'm actually friends with CF, despite the fact I've said it all throughout the video. So I asked, and she just really liked vampires. That is the fucking reason. She just really liked them during the time. She was in a phase, which, yeah, fair enough. We all go through that phase. If you've been in that era or born in like 2000s to like 2010, you 100% had a vampire phase. Because during that time, like, amazing movies came out, like, hold on, when did... You had amazing worlds like Underworld. That's a great one, I think. I don't know what the public opinion is, but I liked it. And I believe... Twilight, yeah, that was around that time, which... Yeah, vampires and werewolves, that shit, so... No, I'm gonna look stuff up real quick. Okay, well, yeah, see? Top vampire and werewolf films include action-heavy staples like Underworld and Van Helsing. Wasn't that an anime or some shit? I remember this weird kid in my school talking about it. Oh, what? Hold on, was it adapted? Hold on. Or was he talking about some other weird shit? So that kid was on to some of the weird shit. Yeah, the anime. He was talking about that shit. Weird fucking kid. Yeah, like, stuff like Van Helsing, The Underworld, Twilight. That. Blood and Chocolate, I remember. Yeah, that's probably one of the things that shaped it, given the area. Twilight Saga, so yeah. From Dusk Till Dawn, Werewolf Within, Good Manners. But yeah, like I was saying, there was a lot of really good vampire media back then. Like, from personal experience, I know Underworld's fun, but to be fair, I like shitty action films. So, my taste in media is a little fucky, to be fair. And I just don't like werewolves, to be fair. I don't know if it's just like a me thing. I just don't like the ideal of werewolves. Something about it is just kind of stupid to me. Like, vampires, I can kind of get that. That I can kind of understand, given cannibals and, like, genetic diversity, especially within cannibal tribes. I'm a history nerd, so I know a lot of, like, random knowledge. So I could see vampires. Oh, the rain begins. But not... werewolves. But again, that's a bit more of a me thing, you know, personal preference and all. I prefer them actually being called lichens. I like the lichen ideal, where you're just like a wolf, but 6 feet tall and hunched over. I like that a bit more than just basic werewolves, you know, where it's just like human with wolf head and very hairy. I know a lot of very hairy people. I don't call them Bigfoot. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm gonna be honest. I should just read the fucking script and not cook. You know, he then says... Hold on, wait. So Chica is like, you're a vampire. He then says, I can't control myself. Yeah, the whole phase thing. She asks to be let go. Freddy opens his eyes and they look all funky. And he says, I need blood! And she yells, no! And she kind of gets bit, and like, she pleads for him to stop, and he just whispers, I'm sorry. Holy shit, that's actually gold! Not gonna lie! She faintly hears Freddy yelling for her as he, you know, is back in control. By the way, see, I've never explained why the sun doesn't hurt him. You'll know what I mean later. But like, if you're going to do a vampire, I think you should commit to the bullshit. Personal preference and all, but... We then transition into the office, and they try to help her. They ask Freddy if he remembers anything, and he says no. Then he says, what if I hurt her and I don't even know it? He says he's a terrible husband. No, no, no. You aren't. You're not a wife beater. So, trust me, you're better than the other options. I mean, fucking, look at Foxy from the last video, from the FNAF Lord section. Trust me, you're a lot better than some of the other ones. And you're better than half of the fucking plush tubers, because half the time that shit doesn't even make sense. I don't like Pogo, if you can't tell. I drag that man's name through the mud so fucking much because I just generally don't like him. Anyways. You know... Marionette tells Freddy to calm down. I'm healing her. Goldie notices the bite marks as Puppet walks in, wondering what's going on. Goldie just says, it's my imagination. And all Puppet said, all Puppet's just like, she'll be okay in 5 minutes. Marionette says she would wake up soon, so Freddy says okay and takes her to the back room so she can rest. He then thanks the Marionette for, and she just says no problem. Goldie says, Puppet, you were right. The second Freddy left, Puppet's a bit confused about what Goldie said. What Goldie says, and Goldie's like, vampire thing. Marionette says, what? She then says, are you crazy? Golden says, afraid not. I saw a mark on Chica's neck. And Puppet's like, you mean I was right? Goldie says, yes. You were. Freddy's a vampire. And Puppet is ecstatic. Okay. So, for those wondering how the fuck did he become a vampire, I asked, CF a while ago. I'm scrolling up so I can read you the exact message. I just overread when I was like, you're probably the most normal person I know that likes vampires, which, fair enough, fair enough. I know I asked her, around here. It's somewhere around here. It's fucking me talking about the whole, like... Hold on, I'm gonna find it real quick. Okay, so I was like, anyways, quick question. Is it explain how Freddy got infected by vampirism, or do we just not know? Because I was talking to a buddy of mine, and she was like, oh, I was initially going to explain it as it was a result of Freddy turning into Nightmare Freddy a bunch of times, which was very stupid and lazy. And she was like, yeah, I brought up how my theory was the ring, and she's like, yeah, I should have probably done that with the ring. Which, I'm not good with stories, but I think I'm good at making things satisfying. But yeah, I didn't want to bring that up just in case if people are like, why did he become vampires? Because he transformed into Nightmare Freddy too many times. Which, I mean, this was kind of set up in Season 1, which just kind of resolves that strange arc somehow. But man, wait until I have things to tell you. And Marionette says that probably would have been, and Goldie's like, I probably should have kept my mouth shut, and Marionette says, yeah, that probably would have been for the best. Freddy is depressed looking at Chica. He looks at the ring and sighs. He then wonders if it was his fault. Did I do this to her? He honestly doesn't remember. Returning to the backstage. Ugh. Bro was kind of messed up, he couldn't control his body, so yeah. Isn't vampirism, you just, like, lose your soul and become a creature of the night? Speaking of which, how do they fucking cure him? Anyways, like, the only way that I know of to cure a vampire isn't that, like, fucking dying? Or, hold on, I'm gonna look that up real quick. Is there a way to cure vampirism? I looked up a completely different thing because I misspelled one word. It depends on the fictional universe. Usually involves killing the head vampire, which I always thought was fun. Rare potions or just random bullshit. Death. Wish granting, so yeah, there technically is a witch cure, but it kind of depends on the universe. Anyways, he vaguely remembers pressing her against the wall, gives her a hug and sees the bite mark, then wonders, did I do that? to her, and then, you know, he just starts crying, knowing, yeah, I know the situation is kind of serious here, but bro hits a hello kitten pose. I'm sorry, I had to. I'm sorry. The joke's wrecked himself. Anyways, he then starts to cry, realizing he hurt her, and he can't believe he would ever do something, so that... Do that to a feminine. Okay, I'll stop. I thought it was funny, okay? Anyways. Brolin asks, what kind of husband am I? Well, I mean, at least you didn't do it on purpose. Unlike, hold on, let me make sure I got the right guy. Yeah, okay, I was right. So, I mean, it's better than Sky does Minecraft. Because, I mean, he beat his wife on purpose, so, I mean, you're better than that freak. Freddy 1, Sky does Minecraft 0. Anyways, like, I had to look it up to make 100% sure, because I don't want to say that, and then some goblin in the comments is like, that never happened, and then I'm wrong, and I don't want to spread misinformation because only assholes will do that. So I had to double check to at least be 100% sure, you know? Like, I knew I looked it up to make sure the joke was funny originally, because I remember that's the reason he stopped making YouTube, but I had to check to see if it was, like, disproven or something. But no, he did beat his wife. Man. And they made toys about the abuser. You can abuse the toy. You can abuse the abuser, but in toy form. Anyways, he decides to go talk to Bonnie and Foxy, you know, see what they have to say. As Freddy leaves, Ennard walks in and says, Thank you, friend, for giving me a speck of the bear's power. But I must be careful. I don't have a lot of his power. And then says, okay, dear. I hope you're okay with being controlled. Holy shit! What the? I think that's illegal! I don't think you can control somebody. Her eyes are now red, bro. And then he says, you're absolutely beautiful with those eyes. There is no way I fucked your wife shit lips was right. And before somebody's like, that's not what it said. I don't care. It's funnier in my version. Anyways, she gets, you know, the freaky saying, thank you, master. Man, the internet has ruined so many words. It's like goon. Remember when goon meant a dumb or goofy person in Britain? Now it means for people who goon daily. Fuck it. You know what? This reset internet internet terms. I almost said slurs on accident. Fucking reset internet terms. Hopefully this time around there won't be any artists by the name of Tony Crynight to permanently alter the minds of children forever. Oh, no. Little hints for what's to come. Anyways, Ennard says, let's show that teddy bear your new look, shall we? For some reason, he gives me, like, Albert Wesker vibes, at least in the way he speaks. She agrees, so, man. Not how I expected this to go, especially given how the Season 4 trailer is way different. We are now we're in the deep end. We then switch to the main area. So Bonnie asks, so you believe you hurt her? Yet you can't recall anything happening. Freddy says, yes, I believe I'm the reason she got hurt. Foxy then says, but the bite marks? You don't got any sharp teeth. I don't think you did anything to her. Freddy says she was pinned against the wall. Foxy, I don't even remember going back into the room. That's wrong. You said you did. When I came to, I was on top of her and she was out on the floor. I have no reason to believe that I didn't hurt her. And then Foxy decides to low-key rage bait. He hides behind Foxy and says, you sure it wasn't for sexual pleasure? Foxy's low-key rage baiting. Bonnie then says, Foxy, right now is possibly the worst time ever. Of all time. And Foxy then just says, what? People can lose themselves in lust. Bro is definitely rage baiting, bro. He is a D1 rage baiter. And, you know, Freddy's like, I had her pinned against the wall. Not in a lust way. Foxy, you know, then apologizes. Bonnie then says, okay, Freddy, just take a breather. And Freddy kind of snaps and says, I can't. I'm so angry at myself. The last thing I wanted to do was hurt my wife. And now she's hurt because of me. And then Innard says, don't worry. She's perfectly fine. 7 minutes. That's about the best Albert Wesker impression you're getting out of me. Innard is Albert Wesker. He gives me the vibes. And Bonnie's like, who's that? And who's that hurt because of me? Okay, I think there was a few words I kind of forgot to type out. Then Innard says, don't worry. I just reread it. Who's that? Albert. I mean Innard. Oh, sorry. I fucking fucked up my joke. I'm so sorry. And then he's like, oh, sorry. How rude of me to not introduce myself. The name's Innard. I know your real name's Wesker. Anyways, my dear old friend has been watching you guys for a very long time, and he is dying to meet you guys. Foxy whispers to Bonnie and looks at Chica. Her eyes are red. Bonnie says, do you think he's under his control? Freddy then says, get away from Innard, you know? I'm just gonna say, I think HC was originally, you know, I'm gonna literally ask her what her plan was. I asked. She might answer in a day, a week, a month, you never know with CF. Anyways, this being 25 minutes because I don't know when to shut my fat mouth aside. Rain stopping shortly. Oh man, I'm not gonna have to deal with rain for a while. And I thought the storm would potentially make recording impossible. I may be able to get a normal video out today. Oh man, I've been blessed. And Freddy's, you know, just like, get away from him. Innard then says, oh, I'm so sorry, Freddy. She's mine now, isn't that right, Chica? And she confirms, yes, I am, master. And Freddy is devastated, rightfully so. And Innard says, take a good look at her, Freddy. She's mine. And to top things off, she will never remember you. Oh my god, that's some Tony Crynight shit. Remember how Foxy literally fucking dies and forgets everything until like the very end? Anyways, he continues. All those precious memories you had proof. They're gone. Freddy is pissed like he lost his wife. Which, like, fair enough. If you've done... Like, if you've done that, expect to get your ass kicked. Like, bro's gonna go on some Ethan Winters shit and fucking kick his ass, probably. Low-key, honestly, like, given what I know what happens future, it really is some Ethan Winters shit. If you know Resident Evil Biohazard, literally. Oh my god, I accidentally fucked with my Roku remote and thought I was Markiplier was about to start blaring on my TV. I was scared. Anyways. You know, and then he's like, then why did you... And you know, Freddy is like, why did you do that anyways? And Innard then says, pardon me, fellas, but we really should be going off. He then shoots the roof of the pizzeria as part of it starts to collapse. He says, it's been fun, and I look forward to seeing you again. Freddy yells, no! As they leave, Freddy chases after them, and Bonnie yelling, wait. Ah, the bit rate! Though good animation, the quality's dying. The quality is good, but I can't see shit through the pixels. Hold on, Innard's kind of booking it. More accurate Freddy speed? Innard hits a dead end, and now the bear is here. Freddy yells, give her back, his eyes yellow. Innard then says, why should I? After all, she's under my control, Freddy. He then says, does it sound like I cared? Innard says, wow. I love that energy you have, Freddy. It's not like you at all, Freddy. He then says, when it involves Chica, it will get like that. Inard then says, you really care for, don't you? Freddy yells, are you an idiot? She's the love of my life. She's my whole world. I would die if anything happened to her. She is the only one in the world keeping me going. The only animatronic I will give my heart to. Inard then takes that literally and says, give your heart to Freddy. Give your heart to her. Freddy says, of course. Inard then says, in that case, he reveals a knife. As Freddy stupidly says, what is that for? He then hands it to Chica. Oh god, okay, not where I thought this was going. But I think I know the end result was going to be the same. He says, hey, Chica. She says, yes, master. Holy shit, this is kind of like the plot of Resident Evil 5, kind of, in like a fucked up way. Stick with me here, right? No, it's not actually. It's not at all. But kind of. Mind controls your friend after you encounter him. And now you have to fight your friend. That is a woman. And the main character is a man. It's kind of like Resident Evil 5 in like some fucked up, demented way. Or it's not like Resident Evil 5 at all, and I'm pulling this out of my ass because I love Resident Evil and want to talk about it a little bit more. Anyways. So yeah. And then there's like, would you be a deer and kill Freddy for me? Freddy's like, wait, what? And she just agrees. Freddy pleads, please Chica, don't do this. She apologizes to him, but Inard is my master. I must do as he asks. Freddy yells her name. Please, I know you're in there. Oh, trying the Toy Freddy method. I see where you're coming from. It continues, where I know and love Chica, replays with, the replay of the, stuff. And, Chica just fucking hits him hard with, love? You don't love me, Freddy. She continues, Oh, wait. I missed a few lines, anyways. So, Chica replies with, love? You never love me. Freddy says, of course I do, Chica. You're the only love of my life. And then he gets cheesy. My love in the darkness, bro. Bro's just trying to take Grandma to Applebee's. Chica then says, if that's true, then why did you hurt me? Freddy is confused, and she continues, you hurt me. You bit me. I screamed for you to stop, and you didn't. Freddy then replies, I wanted to, but I couldn't, Chica. She then says, see, that isn't love. Then hits him with the, you don't know what love is, anime pose and all, Freddy counters with a, of course I do, Chica, please listen to me. She then hard counters with, why should I listen to the monster? That almost killed me, bro. She hit him with a wombo, and then hit with the monster. Now that just killed him right there. That is the 1-2 shambang right there. That is a 2-word flashbang, For him, she affirms what she said. She then mocks her, she mocks herself, Mocks herself, please, Freddy, you're hurting me. Oh, please, stop. You're going to kill me. Freddy starts to break as Chica mocks him. Oh, but I can't see you, Freddy. I never loved you at all. You just hurt me so much, I can't bear the sight of you. God, that's actually fucking hard. You know what, Chica Fazbear, if you're still or CF, I'll call you by your true name now. I'm sorry. I gotta applaud you for that, because that's actually kind of fucking cold line, dude. Loki, this has a lot of really good lines, despite it being cringe. Oh, I got a notification on my phone. Oh, it's just the weather. It's gonna rain in 10 minutes, I think, right? 10, 20? Freddy tries the, you don't mean that, gee, hard counters. Oh, but I do. Who would love the bear that does nothing but hurt his lover? I know I don't. Bonnie and Foxy finally catch up. You know, Foxy yells her name. Oh god, are they going to get a fucking verbal smackdown? Oh, Bonnie yells Freddy, and Anar says, sorry boys, but you are too late. Chica's about to kill Freddy. Both of them yell, what? And he kneels, fully ready to accept his death. Crying, saying, I didn't mean to. She pulls him back to his feet after a cool animated bit. She says goodbye, Freddy Fazbear, as every single happy moment flashes before his eyes. And she actually stabs him. He coughs up blood as his body hits the ground. Enard congratulates her. Good job, my dear. Let's go. Our job is done here. And she simply replies, yes, master. Enard says as he walks by the others, take a good look, boys. Pretty soon, that'll be you. He laughs like a villain on the way out. And Foxy just says, oh my god. And Bonnie says, we just stood there. We did nothing. How could we do nothing? And Foxy is like, what kind of friends are we? How could we stand you and let our friend die like that? And Bonnie replies, very terrible ones. Okay, I'm gonna stop reading this. I'm gonna break that bit down real quick. I did not think she would actually fucking kill him. Like, you know, and Foxy says Golden Freddy is going to kick our butts for this. Bonnie says probably Enard more than us. We're going to do... We can't leave him here. We have to do something. So come on, help me carry him. So they carry him back. Foxy then asks probably the best question. Are we just gonna walk into there with a dead Freddy? And Bonnie admits we have no choice. And Foxy says, fair, but this is the worst thing that could have happened to us. And Bonnie tries to raise the mood at least by saying, don't worry about that later. Worry about that later. So this is, you know, so they drag the lifeless corpse back home. And Foxy asks, do you think I can, you know, Goldie, you know, they ask if he can revive him, and Bonnie and Goldie admits at this point, he doesn't know. Bonnie tries to, and then we get fucking baby Angel watching this. She's either mad that Freddy died or just mad about the events. I am not going to lie, I didn't think she would actually kill Freddy, and I was vaguely hoping the vampire soul would die and he comes back, you know? But no, shit goes off the rails from here, guys. So, we then get a last time on Dragon Ball GT type deal. I know the joke is Dragon Ball Z, but I like GT more than Z. Fuck you. Yes, I'm a nerd that watched that shit back when it was... When did it air in the US? I wonder real quick. And that's how I seen it. The series aired on Nicktoons in 2012. Yeah. Yeah. Seems about right. It ended in like... Yeah, I watched it when it did the Nicktoons around. I fucking remember that because I'd wake up before going to school and like watch an episode, and then I'd have to run to the end of and Dragon Ball GT was running, and I would watch it before running to the bus. We live in a real house now. I remember most of it, and we bought the DVD, so I rewatched it, and I was like, man, this is peak. Why the fuck am I talking about Dragon Ball GT? What the fuck? Okay, I need to kind of focus here, because this is getting a little long, anyways. Long and very wide. I'm just gonna shut up. He wakes up in the back. Hold on, I'm willing to see if he has any type of, payoff. He is a little shaken, looking around confused about how he is back home. He then wonders if it was all a dream. The incest must have been, given how there is no wounds. He then wonders if it was all a dream. Did he not hurt Chica? So he decides to see what the others are up to, so for what he can figure out, how much was real and how much was a dream. Holy shit! This went from 1 to 60 real quick. Everybody you loved, dead or killed by Enhard, all brutally killed. Wow! She knows how to establish the stakes fucking quickly. I have to give credit where credit's due. We get some, mid-animation that I will admit did give me shivers, The chicken skin a bit, some could say the shivers. The chicken skin. A little bit, some could say. So we get some animation with voice acting. It's from something I can't remember. Then we get to see what's going on. The marionette is trying to help him. Golden Freddy is pissed and wants to kill Enhard for this. Bonnie feels guilty, survivor's guilt, for doing nothing. He says, I could have done something. I could have stopped Chica from hurting him. I was an idiot. Bro has mad survivor's guilt. Goldie walks over to comfort Bonnie, saying it wasn't your fault. There wasn't anything you or Foxy could have done. Enhard is just too powerful. But he won't get away with this. Goldie hugs Bonnie, saying he won't get away with this. We'll get back to Enhard for this, and for all. The puppet asks the marionette if it's impossible to bring somebody back from the dead. Marionette says there are only 2 ways to resurrect people. A potion, or the goddess herself. I swear to God, if CFOC is like the fucking goddess, I'm gonna lose my shit. Okay, well, it's like maybe a second for you guys was like 7 minutes for me. I had to run a few errands and try to figure out if I'm getting my Markiplier shirt. Anyways, I swear to God, if CFOC is the goddess, I'm gonna lose my shit. I'm gonna die. And it's not... it's not. I had to ask her because I don't think I could have mentally prepared for that. Anyways, Foxy says, too bad we ain't got those lying around. And Marionette specify it's not a thing. Quite literal God. Paraphrasing a bit, but that's the gist. And Foxy is like, how come we've never heard of it? Which, yeah, fair enough. And then Puppet says no one really knows or even knows what she looks like. No clear description. All people says right before they die, they see a beautiful angel. Ah, it's the baby, remember? Goldie says he needs to leave, and he heads out. Bonnie follows suit along with Foxy, but he mentions he can't stand to see Freddy like this. Marionette says, I think it's the best if we bury him. Proper funeral. Puppet agrees, and we get a flashback with full voice acting. The guy's voice is X-Men. Oh boy, wait, oh wait, boy. Wait, your turn is very, very soon. But nah, yeah. Anyways, so this is a recreation to some extent of their talk about how she was afraid of Freddy dying. And this expands her, mentioning a vacation, marriage, kids, settling down, which, given the context of this, makes it kind of funnier to me multiple times. Freddy vents how scared he is about not seeing her when he woke up. And I'm just going to say this, X-Man is not the best voice actor. I could do better, to be fair. But to be fair, I do voice acting gigs constantly. So maybe it's just built-in experience, or the tism, could be either one. So he is more so saying that well, what he always says. I want to live with you. He asks, why are you crying, you know? She specifies, I'm just happy that you're here. So this is a long flashback sequence. We finally get to see what Freddy is up to, you know, with being dead. And he only says, where are you? He curls up just repeating that. Repeating, are you, you know, who are you? Where are you? He yells it out for anyone to hear him. He punches the wall of white and hears a little girl's voice calling out for daddy. I swear to God, if we're getting, hold on, what was it? The one comic where what was the comic? Spider-Man One More Day. Yeah, that one. It's, where he accidentally trades away, the unborn daughter before the deal is finalized with Mephisto. Shows Peter and Mary Jane a vision of a young girl with red hair. He reveals that this child is their future daughter, often associated with the fan character May. Dude. And it's because he fucking exchanged his happy life for Aunt May? Holy shit! I knew he did it for a dumb reason, but like, bro! She's going to die! You sacrificed your entire life and your unborn child for your grandma! Honestly, bro is selfless, but motherfucker! That just sucks! Poor man. Like, low-key, I actually kind of feel bad for him. Anyways, me kind of thinking this is somewhat connected in a weird way, but not really. Because I just remember one of the frames is like, Daddy? And he's like, who are you, little girl? And that just reminded me of that. Where are you? He walks in the middle of the stage as he sees himself. But not him, the one who hurt Chica. If this is like the nightmare thing, where he has to kill the evil side to bring him back, thus only killing Vampire Soul, I mean, neat. Makes a cool callback, and fixes everything. It's not said in the series, but CF mentioned that the original, transformed it into a nightmare frame, so neat. He yells for it to stay back, and he approaches menacingly. And Freddy continues to yell, stay away, as it attacks. And hears the little girl's voice calling for her daddy, as we get a flashback. Freddy just laying in the void. He arises after hearing the little girl's voice. Once more, with no real options, he decides to venture forward, looking nervous, returning to see the goddess. Fucking X-Man's voice acting ruins the scene! The text on screen conveys better emotions! I'm sorry, I'll stop. But he is scared and asks, who are you? She simply says, I'm here to help you. Oh, Druid's live. I might watch that later. Anyways. And she simply says, I'm here to help. He asks where he is, and she explains the void, a place where you go after you die. Oh, wait! It's kind of like Hermes! Hold on, let me make sure I'm right on this one. Yeah, he's like Hermes, because Hermes would help guide people, mainly people who died during the, Become the Man thing. I don't remember exactly, but my brother was telling me about that. He would mostly help those people, and, the river Styx, if I remember correctly, right? if I remember right. Yeah, Greek, yeah, I was right. I try to fact check myself because I don't want to just spew bullshit on the internet and be wrong, because that's wrong. If you're gonna say shit, you better say it right. Anyways. You know, and, you know, the void is the place where people go when they die. She says, it's time to go, Freddy. He explains that he can't. Chica still needs my help. I can't go. And she strikes a bargain. One last mission, and you save her. Once she is happy, poof, right back. And Freddy agrees to the terms of the deal. He yells as he rolls off the table back into the realm of the living. Toy Chica walks in. Man, we haven't seen you in forever. What's going on? She sees Freddy and, you know, he gets up and tells her to move because he has one mission and one mission only. Freddy yells, you know, where is he? I'm going to tear him apart cold type shit. And Goldie is just shocked to see his brother again, and he tries, you know, tries to calm Freddy down, and Freddy isn't having it. He yells, calm down, how can I win an international Chica? Which, fair enough. Goldie continues like, hey, Freddy, calm down right now. First, we need to come up with a plan, and Freddy, like, Freddy, knowing he doesn't really have a lot of time left, says we don't have time for planning. I am going to kill him. But Goldie and now Foxy yells at Freddy, dude, what's gotten into you? And Freddy repeats, he is going after Renard. And Toy Chica approaches Freddy. As he says, there's nothing you can do to stop me. Toy Chica gives him a hug. Well, that stopped you in your damn tracks. And Freddy says, huh? Which voice, Hexman's voice acting, fuck! I could do better! So, CF, could I voice act maybe for this project? And Toy Chica begs him to calm down. Mangle comes in and does the same thing, and he thanks them. He is now mellowed and he apologizes. I don't know what came over him. He rushes to Golden Freddy and apologizes. I didn't mean to hurt you. And Goldie says, I'm fine. Honestly, I had it coming. Bonnie asks the $1 million question, how are you alive? And Freddy admits he doesn't know. Toy Chica asks if he remembers anything, and he admits, no. I can't see him not remembering her, but yeah. Mangle tries to get his attention, and he says, I thought I remembered something, but I didn't anyways. Bonnie says, well, Freddy, you're a mess, and Freddy sarcastically replies, thanks. And Bonnie says, no, really, you need to get bandaged up. And Marionette agrees. We'll get you patched up, then we can talk about planning. As the Fun Times ask, did you say Renard? Holy fuck, where were you the whole time? So I asked CF, and she was like, oh yeah, they just weren't plot relevant. Anyways, so yeah. Marionette says, yes, we did. And Freddy asks, wait, you know Renard? And their faces says it all. Baby admits that we knew him. Then Toy Bonnie says, wait, are you guys working with him? And Baby quickly says, no, we are not working with him. And Freddy says, that makes sense. You guys probably are working for him. After all, you guys came out of nowhere. Also, I'm pretty sure the pizzeria didn't get built was a lie, too. Freddy starts yelling, are you working for him? Baby says, I promise we aren't. And Freddy starts to get worked up. He says, I don't believe you. And Funtime Freddy gets in the way saying, Dang, don't talk to her like that. And Freddy says, oh yeah? Make me stop. The tension starts to build as Marionette breaks it up, saying, enough, both of you. Clearly, they know something we don't. So instead of arguing, we should hear them out. Fair enough. I mean, that's a great way to figure shit out, if you ask me. So, yeah. Baby, please explain. Marionette handled that like an adult. Now, that right there is a role model. Anyways, Bubbit Puppet, no, not Puppet, but Baby admits the pizzeria was a lie, but we aren't working for Enard. Goldie then asks, then what happened? And she explains that she used to have a pizzeria of their own, Circuit's Baby's Pizza World. We then get a backstory, you know. Now, there used to be kids that would play, but at night, they would be taken underground to be tended for any repairs that we might need. And a big reveal, Baby and Nard used to be a couple, but as the years went on, he changed. He got clingy and wouldn't let her even talk to her friends. That's what you call a toxic relationship right there, buddy. It starts with, hold on, isn't the thing they do is isolation, dependency, control? Isn't that how manipulative relationships work? Because from what I remember, isn't that how it works? Yeah, you get them isolated, you make them dependent, and you control them. Isn't that how it works? I don't know. I just heard a bunch of stuff from, like, a buddy of mine who got really into, like, psychology for, like, a while, and she would go on about stuff like that. I don't remember. It's been years. Anyways, and then, you know, she continues. Baby's like, he didn't like me hanging out with him. Holy fuck, getting an abusive boyfriend backstory is kind of crazy. She admits that alone enraged her, and they argued a lot. One night, they got in a huge argument. Ennard lost his cool and fucking strikes her. Dear God, a wife beater, damn. Sky might have competition here. Jokes aside, I'm just making light of kind of a serious thing here. Anyways, she was so pissed, she yells that she's done. We are over. And after that, he came to his senses, you know, begging her not to go, not to leave him. Sorry, buddy. He just fucking hit her. That's your L. It's Jover. From that moment, no second chances, and maybe might have made the right choice and left. Funtime Freddy notices how bummed she was, and he tries to console her. You know, they talk, and she felt better, and showed her gratitude with a hug, and Ennard got really jealous. So he tried to kill Funtime Freddy. Holy fuck, that's a jump! Bloody hell! That was a jump! He tied Funtime Freddy up and brought him to the scooper, which, in the words of, which in this world is where animatronics who didn't work got taken care of. Anyways, he tries to scoop him, but the others get there just in time. She begs Ennard to stop, but Ennard didn't care and went through with it, but Funtime Freddy managed to get out before it scooped him. And Funtime Freddy decides to beat the shit out of Ennard, which, fair, but the scooper got activated during the scuffle and got both Funtime Freddy and Ennard. Funtime Freddy had just minor injuries at worst, but Ennard wasn't lucky. And they thought he was dead, and probably might have been. They decide to leave after fixing up Funtime Freddy. They left and bumped into the gang, and Baby admits she didn't tell that part because she was scared. We agreed to keep this to ourselves, but hearing Ennard is alive, we want to help you guys. Which, fair, you did indirectly create the monster that led in here. And you guys were probably the reason he found out about the place, to be fair. So, Baby just admits this is their fault. To at least some extent. I don't think it's entirely your fault, but I mean, there is fault on them to some extent. Baby is a bit confused, and Freddy repeats himself. It wasn't your fault. Ennard screwed up, made the decisions. I shouldn't have snapped like that. It was stupid of me. I'm really sorry. You guys had your reasons. I'm happy you're okay. I'm glad you're here, but we need all the help we can get. If we are going to sup Ennard... And Goldie agrees, but first we need to come up with a plan, like a nerd. But But Golden then says, we'll do that later. Right now, Freddy needs to get patched up. Freddy agrees, and Goldie says, let's go, and they head to parts and service. About half an hour later, they come out, and Freddy's, all patched up and ready to go. Goldie says, hey guys, Marinette. Marinette says, yo, I got some good news. Baby and the others know where an art is, and Baby clarifies, not entirely, we just have a good idea where he'd be. Goldie says, so, do we got a plan? And Marinette says, yes. We can fill you guys in on the way there. Goldie says, perfect. Freddy, come on, let's get Chica back. They file out. Toy Chica says, we'll get her back. I know we will. Freddy agrees, and Goldie asks, how are you feeling, And Freddy admits he is hurting a lot, but I can manage. And Goldie says, hey, we're going to get her back, And Freddy says, funny, everybody told me that. Goldie says, wait, don't you believe we can rescue her? Do you? And Freddy admits he has his reasons why he doesn't believe in it. Goldie is definitely a little pissed and yells, reason? What possible reason do you have to believe we won't save her? And Freddy says you wouldn't understand. Goldie makes a good point. I won't if you don't tell me. And Freddy says you weren't there. You didn't see what I saw. And Goldie yells, what did you see? And Freddy says her eyes, okay? Her eyes. Goldie, a tad bit confused about the whole eyes thing. And Freddy just replies, her eyes, they were filled with so much hate. Her beautiful magenta eyes turned red. And behind those red eyes were so much hate. Behind her magenta eyes, there was only love and happiness. Well, they say the eyes are the windows of the soul. He continues. Behind those red eyes were filled with hate, not a shred of what was once were. She is mindless. She doesn't even remember me. She said so many mean things to me. She meant it. We then get a flashback before his death. And back to the present, her voice, the things she said and constantly repeat. She's right, I am a monster. I could have killed her. Why would I hurt her? The average melodrama, a calm before the storm, more or less. At least that's what I'm seeing the episode as so far. He then says, how could I let that monster control me? Why did I? Golden cuts him off with a fucking bitch slap, and he lays down the brass tacks, What kind of husband allows his emotions to get the better of him when he saw behind her eyes? Don't matter. He knows what kind of person she is. He knows what she would and wouldn't do. He knows the true monster, not him, but rather the monster who took his wife away. She loved you, Freddy. She loved you with all her heart. You just gotta remind her that. Freddy then asks, do you think we can break her from the trance? And Golden says, no, I know we will, bro. My man! Bro is being the quintessential best big bro, and the likewise admiration of the brother. This is a trope that really does exist. At least in my mind, this trope entirely exists because of those shitty Diary of the Wimpy Kid movies. When you remember when they existed, they were a thing. Anyways, Toy Chica's in a car and says, you boys need a lift? Goldie is like, this is fucking awesome. And Toy Bonnie says, luckily they were freshly dumped. And Goldie asks, who would throw away a car? Toy Freddy then says, maybe people who know about cars, they just need a jump start. Wait, I think they may have gone to go get a jump start. I think they just stole these cars. Funtime Freddy shows off their motorcycles, and Golden is fucking ecstatic about it. And Goldie is a major motorcycle fan. Mangle just saying someone's in heaven, and Golden replies, "You bet I am." So they follow Baby, and Freddy passes out on the back of the motorcycle and has a conversation with the goddess. He asks, "Why are you trying to keep me from her?" And she says, "Who?" Said, "I was trying to keep you from her. I'm simply doing what I always do. Take people to heaven or hell. Just be happy I brought you back to save her." And Freddy says, "Well, I'm staying." And she says, "No, Freddy, you died. You simply can't stay alive. That's how it works." He gets angry and says, "Make it work. I'm not going with you. Besides, I was murdered." She replies, "Murdered or not, you still died. You're going back, Freddy. End of story." Freddy meagerly responds, "But?" And she yells, "End of story!" And he loses it. He says, "You can't keep me from her." And she says, "I can and will. Stop making things harder than they should be." And he said, "We'll see about that." He wakes up sometimes later, and Goldie makes sure he's okay. Scared he lost him for a second. Freddy says, "Sorry, just got lost in thought." I would have just said, "Sorry, I passed out," but, where are we? Goldie says, "Looks like a factory," and Baby replies, "It's a factory where Inard took Chica." And Toy Bonnie asks, why wouldn't he just go back to the pizzeria? And she says, "That's the first place we'd look. And Art is smarter than that." And Foxy says, "And all places, why a factory?" And Baby says, "This is where we were built. It closed down years ago, so it's abandoned." And Funtime Freddy, and no one comes out here anymore. Freddy wonders what the plan is, and Blora says, Funtime Freddy will search around the area, make sure Enter's inside. Goldie says, "Good. Sounds good to me." Everybody mills around until they're done searching, and Freddy talks to Baby, and he says, "It wasn't your fault. We didn't tell you guys about Enter in the first place. I shouldn't." And then Baby says, "It wasn't your fault. We didn't tell you guys about Enter in the first place. We should have known he wasn't dead. He was just so damaged. He looked impossible to survive. I guess he woke up and repaired himself with scrap metal and is out for revenge. I just don't get why he's after you guys." And Freddy asks, "By any chance, does Inard have supernatural powers like Golden Freddy?" And Baby says, "No, why?" And Freddy says, "Well, Chica was in person service. There isn't really any place to hide. How do you get in there without us noticing?" And Baby says, "I wish I knew." But Inard doesn't have powers like Golden Freddy or the other. So I honestly don't know how he got in there. And Freddy admits it doesn't matter once we stop him. He won't mess with us again. And Baby agrees. He says, "You were right. He's inside with Chica." She asks if there is a way to sneak in without noticing. Funtime Freddy says, "Yeah. There's a way around the front." Baby says, "Let's go stop Inard." And Freddy says, "Let's go." And now on to the final episode of this journey. And then the tier list for the sweet, sweet viewer retention. Anyways, now on to the end of the story. Baby asks where Inard is. And Funtime says, "At the back." And Chica was there with him. Baby says, "And for our plan to work out, we need her away from him." And Foxy says, maybe we could get away with a distraction. And Toy Freddy asks, how are we going to distract her? Goldie says, Freddy, think you can distract her? And Freddy says, me? You know, Goldie's like, yeah. And Freddy asks, why me? I can't see her like that. I just want to see her normal again. And Bonnie says, actually, I think that'll work. Inard will order Chica to attack Freddy, and if she sees him not dead, she will chase him again, no questions asked. Freddy admits Bonnie's probably right. She will come after me. Fine, I'll do it. Baby says, good, me and the crew are gonna get to Inard while you two wait for the signal. Goldie says, got it. They head in to get into position, and Freddy says, hey, Goldie. And, you know, Goldie's like, what? Freddy asks, can I ask a favor of you? And, you know, Goldie's like, sure. Freddy says, did say I don't make it out. Like, if I die, do you think you could take care of Chica for me? And Goldie asks, what are you talking about? You're gonna stop in or no matter what. Why wouldn't you make it out of this? And Freddy tells the truth. The angel brought him back. I know this sounds stupid, but it's true. She said once Chica is safe, I would go with her. I tried to convince her to let me stay, but I won't. Honestly, I believe I won't be able to leave here alive, so please, take care of her. And Freddy, and Golden Freddy says, fine, I'll do it. I'll take care of her for you. He thanks Goldie for that. I know she'll be in good hands. The Fun Times let off the signal, and he yells, hey, to get their attention. Inard says, impossible. Chica says, what? I killed you. How are you not dead? And Freddy says, please, Chica, you have to remember, you have to snap out of it. Goldie moves away, probably getting ready to ambush her when, you know, Freddy gets her attention. So Chica says, I'm done listening to your words, Bear. I'm going to kill you, and this time you won't get back up. Freddy books it, and Chica says, get back here, and follows him. Baby draws Inard's attention, and Inard is shocked to see her. What are you doing here? And, you know, she's like, you know, she pleads with him, please, Inard, you have to stop doing this. Let Chica go. Inard says, why should I? This is payback. Baby, you broke my heart. And Baby says, I know, Inard, it was stupid of me. Wait, no, wrong. Maybe she's lying to him? That's all we can hope for? Like, she says she shouldn't have left you. Let Chica and my friends alone. If you do that, we can be together. And Inard says, do you really mean it? And she says, of course, we be together and even run away. Just let Chica and Freddy be happy together. Just like that. He pulls out a fucking blicky. What the fuck? He then says, you really think I'm stupid, don't you? She says, what? And he says, I saw you with him. Put your hands around him. She says, he was just trying to cheer me up, Inard. Yeah, right, baby. You honestly think I'll go with you? You broke up with me because I hit you. I was trying to do what is best for my girl, but you just had to argue with me. So I decided if I can't have you, no one can. Bro is full incel mode right now, and he fucking executes her. Funtime Freddy goes to kill her, but he fucking shoots him. What the fuck? Then Inard says, you think that could trick me? Think girls? I'm way smarter. He then kills both of them. He says, some friends you are, and goes to see what happened when she made Chica busy. But Ballora lived being shot in the back. So probably paraplegic, so that kind of fucks up her entire life, kinda. But Ballora lives. Foxy comes to see what's going on. Ballora tells Foxy it was Innard. He found out our plan. And Foxy tries to help the dead ones, but Ballora says you can't. They're dead. Innard shot them. Foxy is devastated. And he says, we need to get you out of here. We're going to have to warn the others. And Ballora says we won't make it in time. And Foxy says we just have to warn them before Innard gets there. And that's how it ends. I asked CF how this was supposed to end. And she just simply said, well, it's going to end the same way the new one will. So we simply don't get to know. I really do like this season. If you ask me, is honestly better than season 1. But genuinely, this last episode genuinely shocked me. Keep in mind, season 4 was originally supposed to be Freddy gets taken over by vampire, as we can see clearly in the season 4 trailer. But not in this reality. Keep in mind, the final episode was damn near done when CF decided to scrap it, so who knows? So, my theory, how the series was going to end was they were going to free Chica. And Freddy was either going to get shot or they were going to kill Innard. Either way, Innard dies and Freddy would have died. And the goddess would have been like, sorry, but you don't get your happy ending. Because I don't think CF would do that. Honestly, I think Freddy would have been dead permanently. So, I guess without further ado, on to the tier list, since I wanted that sweet viewer attention. But if you want to know why they're at the tiers they are, continue to watch till the end. Still need that engagement, brother. Tier list! Yay! So, we're gonna start with season 1, right? Season 1, honestly, A tier. Not quite S tier, but also not quite any lower. Season 2 is B tier. Not really that great, all things considered. Now, Season 3 is A tier, and Season 4 is S tier. Even though it doesn't have an ending, I still think it is worth the S tier. Now, I'm not going to go into why I think the placements are where they are, because I will explain that in a minute. But here's your tier list for viewer retention. Don't leave the video yet! There's more to talk about! Ah! I love this. Okay. No idea where this is going to be slotted. Probably after the tier list. So if you've seen the tier list, this is being recorded after. Like, so sorry for any repeated info. I added this because I found out there was a behind the scenes. And because CF had a message she wanted to give to you all. So anyways, she was 14 while making this, so I definitely do feel like a little bit of an ass, but hey, we're friends! If I don't make fun of something a friend made, are we really friends? Jokes aside, I do genuinely enjoy this series. I know I can be a little sarcastic and a bit of an asshole from time to time, but genuinely, this is my favorite shipping FNAF thing ever, and yes, that's coming from the same guy who watched Tony Crynight on repeat more times than I am willing to admit. But anyways, so in the behind the scenes, we get a good amount of information. But anyways, yeah, I get to talk about more Freddy x Chica. So I'm happy. Hopefully I get to voice in the remake, she is doing one anyways. So the original Season 1 actually is a remake of a previous version of the script, which she scrapped. Which, given how I am seeing a consistency with the original scrapped story not being the best, but V2 being significantly better. That's a pattern I'm starting to pick on. Anyways. But most things were carried over the same way, though the original had no Nightmare Freddy. Man, I am happy this got, like, a V2. Otherwise, that means I wouldn't have as much funny shit to talk about. Again, jokes aside, this genuinely is my favorite shipping series. I am not shitting you. I had to watch this 6 times to make sure the kiss counter was right. I've put too much effort into these videos. Anyways. So, yeah. Let me figure out where I was because I went off screen. You know. But a lot of the ending parts were changed, especially with Springtrap and Toy Freddy getting corrupted. She found a picture she thought was really neat and said, you know what? I'm using it. And the silver bullet thing was a reference to a game I actually played and really enjoyed. It's a reference from The Wolf Among Us by Telltale, which is actually getting a remake, and Wolf Among Us 2 is coming out soon. I am so fucking hyped. Anyways, so and that's why it was silver piercing, which before anybody's like, silver, that means it's armor piercing, and therefore you're wrong from season 1. No, I genuinely do not think you can make armor piercing rounds with silver for the the previously stated reason of it being extremely fragile, not to mention the bullet drop would be a bitch. Anyways, let me focus. But anyways, silver piercing was added to be symbolic rather than the bullet type used. I like how she added Shakespeare to the fucking series. Where Foxy makes fun of Freddy for hearing them make sex noises. Oh man, I love the bullshit this series is, dude. I love it. Oh, anyways, Season 2 was kind of not planned, which does show a good bit. But the spin the bottle was a joke. Episode, no! Gay body doesn't exist! I'm going to fucking riot! Jokes aside, she also had no idea why she added Jody, which she... I like how consistent over the years that the existence of Jody is just as a pure fucking joke. That is just funny to me. Because I know I brought this up earlier, but I asked her why she added Jody, if it was like a self-insert or something, because I low-key thought she was self-inserting. No, she doesn't even know why she added her, which apparently it's like a reference to a movie that I've never seen. But to be fair, what I find Pink Media is red versus blue. Avatar the Airbender. I'm definitely not opening up my desk to see what movies I have. Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, the Resident Evil films, Terminator. Yeah, I don't know. I have more movies under there. I just don't feel like looking. But yeah, I find a lot of things Peak Media, but low-key, I know I've been a bit of an asshole about this, but genuinely, I love this series. I'm going to reread the script and see if that comes across enough, because if it seems like I'm just being an asshole, then I'm sorry, because I genuinely enjoyed this. This was, like, actually something I loved making. Anyways, so where was I? So at the end of Season 2, the whole point was to, you know, when they were like, the future! Which I was so fucking confused about. It turns out that point was to let what happens. Like, listen, it's this. And she's like, yeah, it's this jank because, by the way, if my notes are, like, really fucking janky, it's because the behind the scenes is this jank. So, she originally meant for whoever HC was to be revealed, but never got to that now, and now I'm just pissed because I don't get to fucking know. I asked her, and she was like, I'm going to reuse it in my version. There's a chance CF sees this part. I am sorry. I'm sorry for insulting you. It's just like, that's been like eating away on my brain. Anyways, you know, I don't get to know. You know, I want to know her, and we also get to know what her favorite episode is. It's the one where Golden Freddy got with Funtime Foxy. Oh, and the random anime girl that appeared in the music video during the episode where Freddy got married was Violet Afton. Wow, the fandom has changed. Used to be pretty different back then. Yeah, she also really enjoyed making Toy Freddy and Toy Chica kiss in Season 4. Low-key, honestly, Toy Freddy and Toy Chica is an underrated ship. I know throughout this video I probably haven't been the nicest, but deadass, Toy Freddy x Toy Chica is an underrated ship, and I'll stand by that. Also, she did not regret the sex scene at all in Season 4. I gotta respect the fucking confidence. On saying that, one last note. What I described as Pixel Hell in Season 4, Episode 6, the chase scene, watching the behind the scenes, it actually looks kind of fucking epic. Unfortunately, the bit rate made that section as crispy as a deep fried chicken. Have you guys ever had, like, not the McChicken, but, like, the McCrisp, you know, like, the better version of the McChicken? If you guys like chicken and you haven't tried that, honestly, it's worth the pickup. I hate McDonald's, but I will happily take anything chicken products because I love chicken. Anyways, which she had no idea about until I mentioned to her, which is kind of funny. Like 4 to 8 years, somewhere in that range, she had like no idea. It was like deep fried. Oh wait, no, it came out in 2020 if I remember correctly. So yeah, around 6 to 8 years. I love how she had no idea it was just broken. And, so, here's the main reason for this extra section, because I could have just left all of that out, because I'm pretty sure other than, like, 2 things, I wouldn't have mentioned anything. But I sent her a DM, I was like, no wait, that was the Dead by Daylight one. By the way, the reason why Season 1's gameplay was Dead by Daylight is because CF used to stream it. She hasn't streamed in like forever, but she streamed it back then, and I genuinely really enjoyed it. So I picked up the game, and I'm actually having a blast. The entire reason I even had it as the Season 1 is because that's what made me like start talking to her again, because we haven't talked in like 4 months. I was like, oh yeah, Dead by Daylight exists. And that's what led me down this rabbit hole to find this beauty. Outside of my, like, I found it because me and my friend were kind of, what happened was we were kind of, like, watching a bunch of bullshit SFMs. I recognized, in the corner it said, Chief Fazbear. I was like, oh, I know CF. I actually talked to her recently because of her Dead by Daylight streams, right? And he was like, yo, then let's check her out. And like that, I found my favorite shipping series, Freddy x Chica. Anyways, I was like, so I'm working on a 3rd channel video where I talk about Freddy x Chica. So do you have like any notes or something you want me to mention? And she said she wanted me to mention this. Something bigger and better is coming. Low-key, hopefully I'm a part of it. Because if so, that would be kind of fucking peak. Anyways, so I guess I'll let you go on to the outro. Okay, now I'm going to get into my thoughts. So Season 1 is clearly not the best, but overall, it has the most solid plot beginning to end because everything it wanted to do happened and had everything tied up for the most part at the end. While I'll admit the werewolf thing is a bit cringe and it was more so in a good way in my opinion. But yeah, outside of my gripes with the silver bullet thing, it overall is probably one of the best beginnings to a series. And while some of it was a bit fuzzy and some plots never got finished, it was definitely a solid beginning. Like, it definitely could have gotten bad, but when Freddy died, I knew it was going to last. But I was surprised, I didn't think it would last, but I was surprised nonetheless. Season 2 is honestly the weakest. It doesn't really expand things. It just more so gets the band back together, getting Freddy alive. And the whole family subplot has a few good jokes, and the whole white bread woman known as Jody overall. And it does kill Springtrap while bringing back Freddy, and, ditches the Nightmare Freddy theme. Plus ending that plot line and setting up really well for Season 3. Not as good as Season 1, but still not bad. Season 3 widens the scope a ton, and had a few arcs that didn't really get to breathe, because she was definitely speedrunning it. Speedrunning all of it, after all, the additions of the fun times were done really tastefully and didn't subtract from anything. The marriage episode is probably the funniest thing I've seen in a while. For God's sake, I damn near fell out of my chair at some of the screenshots. Anyways, overall, it's a good season, and would have been the best if it wasn't for Season 4. It's the biggest and the best. Though the vampire thing is a bit odd, and the ring thing is never explained, but to be fair, this is version 2 of Season 4. Because originally, Freddy was going to be evil, but she scrapped it pretty early on. I like how slow the tension builds and how we get some fun things mixed in there, while overall having a good bit of stuff going on. Definitely them fucking was a little weird, but Innard was definitely a bit rushed, but I think everything was done so far that was really good. I am sad there is no ending, but luckily, she has told me the forbidden knowledge, but didn't tell me how it was supposed to end. Because that's going to how the new thing's going to end. Since from what I can tell, it was never fully finished. She never put it together and, got it fully done, which does suck a ton, but I think the series was going to end with Freddy having to leave. She is known to kill Freddy off, but hey, that's just a theory. Now, if you don't know, she is remaking the whole series, but I'll keep my eye open and make a video the second we get that. But yeah, don't worry, subscribe, share, like, all that jazz, but see ya, if you watch this for, please let me voice that. My mama's got a homeless, please. Jokes aside, CF, please let me voice act. It'd be so peak. Let me be Gay Bonnie. But yeah, jokes aside, low-key though. It'd be so peak. Anyways, I guess see you guys in the next one.